What's poppin'? What's poppin'? What's poppin'? Welcome to another episode of What Did I Miss podcast with Dennis Styles. On this show, I'll be covering all the stuff not on my YouTube channel at DS2Smooth. The link will be in the description. From movies and game reviews to movie and gaming news to anime to comic books and honestly anything else I feel like yapping about. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. We got quite a bit of news this week. There's a lot of Marvel news from casting of the Fantastic Four. Well, some of the members, specifically, maybe some potential casting with Reed Richards and Galactus. We got Avengers Kang Dynasty losing its writer, plus some Kang recasting, maybe. And of course, we have the Madam Web trailer, and then plus some more Marvel news. On the DC side of things, and honestly, I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. The DCU updates are probably my favorite updates to get so far. Like out of the news cycle, I'm just like really excited for the DCU and what James Gunn and Peter Safran are doing over there, and just the potential of that the universe has. Like I'm just really excited. So I'm always honestly, it's probably gonna always be some DCU if there is DCU news, because like I just said, I just really like talking about it. But we have some DCU updates with another Superman legacy character being cast, and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is got a writer, and some other DCU updates as well. The Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic is actually really good. I just and some just randomly I was reading it, and then like it just happens. I just put it down and just never picked it back up. But I was really liking it. I only had like a couple, maybe like 6 issues left. I think maybe it's like 24 issues, but I think I only had like 6 issues left or something like that. But I really like it, so I'm really excited for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I'll talk more about that. And on the gaming side of things, we have the Game Awards, which I'll be making my votes on the podcast, because I was just going to talk about the categories and stuff, but I realized I didn't vote, so I'll just do it on the podcast, which might be pretty fun. So I'm going to be doing that. And our main topic of this week is me finally reviewing Marvel Spider-Man 2 PS5. I'm kind of a little nervous on this one, just because reviewing a game is so much, as I'm doing it, reviewing a game is so much different than reviewing a movie. There's just a lot more components that just goes into it. Like you have your story, and then you have your gameplay. That's like 2 things, but there's like sub components in those like 2 big categories that you really have to touch on. So I'll talk more about that when I get to that. But there will be time codes in the description if you want to jump around to straight to the review or any part of the news that you want to get into or interested in. So there'll be time codes below. So feel free to jump around. But let's just get right into it, man. So, Daredevil Born Again directors Jensen Benson and Aaron Moorhead provide an update on the series. We're currently just consuming Daredevil content, not just the Netflix show, but all the possible material. We're just making our stew of information nice and thick. So I've talked about it quite a few times on this podcast, but if you don't know, if it's your first episode or something like that, there was a show on Netflix, a Daredevil show on Netflix, Marvel character, and it's really good. It was very grounded, and for the time, it's still very grounded now. But I'm just saying, like, compared to what was coming out, it was a grounded take and a darker take, a lot of violence and stuff, and more mature themes that we've seen in the Marvel movies. But really great show. I like it a lot. But it's getting a reboot, like slash reboot slash like soft continuation over on Disney Plus. It's called Daredevil Born Again, and I'm really looking forward to this show. But so the directors, it's just cool seeing I brought this up because it's cool seeing the directors or people making this stuff, or it's just stuff that is adapted from anything really, but specifically comic book stuff. Just really take the time to, as I said, not only just like the Netflix show, but all the possible material, and just consuming all the content. Not you don't have to just consume all the content, but you should be consuming like key stories and key well-respected runs and stuff of comic book characters if you're making this type of stuff, just so you necessarily don't have to put everything in, but you just get a more understanding and a better idea of who the character is and what they stand for and what makes them tick and what what's cool to play with in their mythos and to convey certain themes and whatnot, or and if you consume the content, you could do that a lot more organically in ways that please the fans, and like I said, organically, and doesn't feel forced, or you can really dive deep into the material. And so I think it's very important to anything you're working on, this if like this type of stuff, to really just consume the stuff around it. And I'm very glad they're doing that, and it just shows that they care about what they're doing, and it just adds a extra level of care for the character and to get things right. And if you don't do this, I don't necessarily think it means that you don't care about the character, but I mean, it kind of does and it kind of doesn't. Like, it's probably a case by case situation. It's not necessarily all black and white, but to me, it just shows that you'll just have, like I just said, you'll just have another level of care of wanting to get things right and get things on point, and really hammer home some of the characters like main themes and stuff. And so it's really cool that they're taking that approach. It gives me a more confidence in the show, because we've been getting some troubling, I mean, I wouldn't say troubling, but I would say some worrisome, I guess that's the same difference, but it's just the way, the reworks of the shows and everything, shaking everything up and like scrapping a lot of the stuff that they did. And they weren't super far into making the series, but they scrapped a lot to rework it into their new vision or whatnot. So it's just, and also they mentioned that they're at ground zero. They're not really, like, they haven't really started on making the show. So it's Daredevil Born Again is going to be 18 episodes. And I think there were only like 3-4 shot before they just scrapped everything and reworked and brought these guys on it and scrapped like basically everyone who was working on it before. But then also with Daredevil Born Again, Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, was originally set to appear in Daredevil. His inclusion to the series remains unclear due to the current rework. So this is from Can We Get Some Toast? And I would take that with a heavy grain of salt. I brought this up because there's a couple characters that are supposed to appear in Daredevil Born Again. Jessica Jones was originally supposed to appear, but I think Kristen Ritter is the actress's name who plays Jessica Jones. She played her in the Netflix series, which I really like that show. Not all the seasons of Jessica Jones, but the first season is really good. I like it a lot. She was set to appear, I think, I'm trying to remember like the rumor on her role. I think it was Daredevil needed help tracking someone down, and she's like a private investigator, something like that. But Kristen Ritter was working on something else at the time, so they couldn't get her in, schedule conflict, and so they switched to John Bernthal. Is that his name? John Bernthal, his Punisher. So he also played Punisher on the Netflix series, and so they switched to the Punisher. So I wonder. So they say originally. So was Bucky, like before Jessica Jones? Was he gonna appear? So that's just interesting. If this is true, how that would have worked in there. Like what kind of? I'm just trying to think about how Bucky would slot into a Daredevil story. Especially how he is now. Like, he's not the Winter Soldier anymore. Maybe. It does say the Winter Soldier, so does Bucky still go by that name? Like, I know like people call him that from like his past, not like necessarily his past, but people who know of the Winter Soldier. I don't know if people currently call him that. Like, is that a name he like doesn't really like to go by? I can't remember the Falcon and Winter Soldier if he like really claimed that name or not. Like, I can't remember. So point being, like, was this going to be dealing with some, I was going to say flashback stuff, but that doesn't really make sense because Daredevil, he's not that old, and Winter Soldier goes back. I mean, he was doing Winter Soldier stuff pretty, like, it wasn't pretty modernly. It's obviously we get the movie Winter Soldier, and he was still knocking people off in that. And so it can be some stuff with the Winter Soldier, but I don't know. So it's just interesting to see how he would have slotted into that if it was true. So onto some Loki news. Tom Hiddleston, the actor who plays Loki. Sorry, I got a text message. So Tom Hiddleston, the actor who plays Loki, he says it's unwise to believe he's done playing Loki. And I think I don't have because I used the same document for show notes, so I don't have the show notes from last week. But oh, that's what it was. Sorry, I was trying to remember what I said about what Tom Hiddleston said about Loki last week. He said that the finale of Loki season 2 was like a conclusion of playing the character for 10 to 14 years. I forgot the time frame, but it just felt like a conclusion. And what's interesting about this is I don't know if it was because this is from comicbookmovie.com. It's not the article. I don't have the article up. It's just oh yeah. This wasn't this is from comicbookmovie.com, and this isn't in the article. I don't know if I read this in the article, but I read this somewhere. But Tom Hiddleston said that he said goodbye to playing Loki like 2 other times. I think like and multiple times in the MCU, Loki has faked his death, and I think pretty much every time it's been pretty clear he was going to come back. But I think maybe Infinity War and maybe the first Thor. No, I think the first Thor it was seen he was survived at his faking his death. But for sure at Infinity War, it was pretty like at the moment like Loki was pretty definitively dead. So Tom Hiddleston could have said goodbye to the character back then, and then come back with Loki playing it. So basically, I think he doesn't really know if Loki has a future in the MCU, but he's basically saying that he said goodbye to the character before, so you don't want to write it off that he could possibly come back. But also, Loki's the Guardian. That's the intro. Oh, sorry. Okay. I was almost got a Loki season 2 finale spoilers, but now I'm gonna say it. Loki season 2 finale spoilers right now. And I'll put time codes, and so you could skip this part, but just skip ahead a little bit. But so spoilers for Loki season 2 now. There is so Loki is the god of basically the multiverse now, holding everyone's stories together. And my question is Loki out of the timeline completely, or will there still be variants of Loki in the timeline? I feel like that's a pretty good question. Well, yeah, because, not the main Loki, but Loki is holding this stuff together. So, I mean, I would assume so there would still be Loki variants in the timeline. I don't see why there wouldn't be, because it's not like Loki is erased from all the timelines. Just that specific one, made the sacrificial play to hold the timelines together. So, there should be other Loki. So, yeah, but I would like for Thor to meet, if they do reunite and Loki's still in the timeline or whatever. I would like Thor to meet Loki season 2 Loki, because that's the one I feel like. So I think I said it last week as well. The MCU built up Loki to eventually, not eventually, but he was at a good place with Thor in the relationship. He was really coming around as a character and as a more of a hero and not just like simply a trickster and an antagonist. So, but he died before, he was really able to realize that and show that to Thor. And the Loki that they built up during the Loki series is, I think, is kind of in the ballpark. I would say even more developed, honestly, that the original Loki was. And I feel like he has really good development to meet Thor. And I feel like Thor, if they don't, depending who's writing it, they could have a really nice coming together moment, because they have really grown as characters individually. So, yeah, I want to see more Loki, to be honest. And don't force it, but if it's an organic way for them to meet Loki season 2 Loki and Thor, then let's do it. But if not, he can just meet a variant, I guess. But I do want to see Thor and Loki reunite in some way. Just hopefully it's not, I don't know. I can't, I was going to say in a way that I don't like, but just saying that just puts so much, unneeded expectation on it. Like, just because it's maybe not in the way I like it doesn't mean, I don't want to just make me sour on that, with my own expectations. So, but at the end of the day, I do want to see them meet. So, Huy Quan, He plays Obi, well, probably in Loki season 2. Probably my favorite new addition to the cast. I really like him. This is a Huy Quan Stan podcast or Stan account. I think he's just really fun. I don't get starstruck with celebrities because at the end of the day, they're just people. Like I don't have any celebrity that I'm like, oh my god, I want to meet this person so bad. But I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like if I run into him and it's an appropriate setting, like I'll ask probably like a picture or some shit if it's someone I really like fuck with. But I'm not like just, oh my god, like I gotta get a pic, like fanned out. Like if like I think like there'd be a couple times like I seen celebrities and like everyone's like rushing them to get a pic and it's just like never like yeah, I wanted a pic, but it's like not that serious. Like I'm not gonna rush and fucking, like it's they're normal people. But point being, I feel like Huy Quan, he's like one of the only people where like I would be like genuinely excited to meet, and not on some starstruck shit, but just he just seems like a genuine good fun person to hang around. He just in all the interviews I see him in, like he's just super jubilant and just full of energy, and he really. I'll get into I don't know where I started with this, just praising K over here, but I'll get into what he said, but and why I'm bringing this up. But I think he's just a really really good actor, and from seemingly he seems like a good person too. So, but he says joining the MCU was at the top of his wish list when he started acting again. He cried when Kevin Feige called and offered the role. It was a full circle moment for him going back to when they worked on X-Men together. They I guess worked on X-Men 2. I guess Kevin Feige was I think assistant producer or something, and he was like a assistant stunt coordinator, something like that. And it's a really good article from Deadline where he talks about that full circle moment. I'm not gonna go through it because I kind of, unless it's just something really important, I kind of want to move away from just like going like reading articles. I feel like that's kind of boring maybe. So I'm gonna try to like do better at just summarizing them, even if I have to pause for a little longer and edit out that dead space. But there's just a couple things in this article that was really good. He just said how it was just super fun working with the Loki family, and how since this was the first Marvel show to not need reshoots, he was kind of like he was expecting for reshoots to happen. And since they didn't happen, he was pretty bummed about that. It was like one of the only times that he was excited to do reshoots, and one of the only times that he is excited doesn't happen. So that's kind of funny. And then he was talking about how they made history 2 times. The first Marvel series to get a second season, and then also the first time a Marvel show didn't need any reshoots. So he said he's super proud of that. That's cool. I'm just going through this because I just like to hear from K. I mean, he's been part of my childhood for a pretty long time, to be honest. Like Indiana Jones, Short Round, Goonies, like, come on. And he's been part of my childhood without me even knowing, like working on X-Men and stuff. And so it's like to see this and how he's like celebrating, how he's talking, how he's excited about coming back to acting. It's just really cool to see and read about. He also says in the article he likes the name Ouroboros is really fitting in a way because Ouroboros is a snake eating its own tail, and how he's talking about it's a full circle moment of going back and working with Kevin after working with him on X-Men 2. And then he goes to talk about what scene he's most proud of and whatnot. But then also he says the next big franchise he wants to join is Star Wars. I can see with this, I think it's pretty obvious, like to have him play like maybe like a droid or something, in a more comedic droid or something like that. But then I saw a really good point where it was like get him in something like Andor, not specifically Andor season 2, but something like Andor, something a little bit more serious where he could really show off his acting abilities. And not saying that comedy is like less or easy or anything, but just show more range, because I think Everywhere All at Once showed his range really well, and I would want to see more of that, because they had him kind of the comedic relief and whatnot sometimes, and then they had more dramatic moments when he's talking to his wife about like divorce and whatnot, and then they have They go in the alternate realities where he's like a super suave like businessman or something like that. And it was cool to see his range as an actor, and I would want to, not see him just typecast into a funny, more comedic role like Obi, even though it was really good. I just, want to see him do things and be able to spread his wings. But yeah, I like K a lot. So this is a K Stan account. So anything he does, I will definitely keep an eye on because I think he's a really good actor. So some Avengers, Kang Dynasty news. So reportedly, Jeff Loveness was removed from writing Kang Dynasty because they're reportedly likely moving away from Kang. So I was talking about this last week, how they might be pivoting to Doctor Doom because Jeff Loveness, he wrote Quantum Mania, and when he was announced to be writing Kang Dynasty, a lot of people turned their nose up, including me. I wasn't a fan of Quantum Mania really at all, except Kang. But even then, just the way they handled him wasn't all that great anyways. So I kind of didn't want him on this. I wasn't. It wasn't a complete write off on my part. It was just, Quantum Mania just left a bad taste in my mouth. Anything has a chance to be good, so he could have, turned it around and made something good, but it just wasn't. I just didn't have much faith. So that's good. And again, like, I don't want to say like, oh, him losing his job is good, but I feel like they need to go in a different direction. But what's kind of confusing about this is, hold on, sorry. Okay, yeah. So this is from one of the people who worked on, I talked about a couple weeks ago, the Marvel like Reign, MCU Reign or something. But it was just a book with a lot of insider scoops and stuff and quotes about the industry, the MCU and whatnot, and a lot of stuff came out about the MCU, good and bad, and just their lack of having a plan and whatnot. But this comes from, they said this person said on a podcast, I think it's their podcast, Marvel Studios are reportedly still committed to the Kang storyline. It's unknown. Oh no, sorry. I fucked that up. The report of them reportedly moving away from Kang was from the person who did the book. But what's confusing, Marvel Studios reportedly are still committed to the Kang storyline. It's unknown currently if they plan to recast the role. And so that's from Daniel RPK, which I would take with a grain of salt. All this I would take with a grain of salt, except for Jeff Loveness being removed from Kang Dynasty. So it's just confusing. So are they committed to the Kang role? And then also, if they're committed, are they going to recast because all the Jonathan Majors allegations? And also, I read somewhere is they can't recast because I didn't read somewhere. This is actually, I was listening to this morning, the Weekly Planet podcast. Mason, one of the co-hosts on there, he said, this is, again, speculation or with a grain of salt, that someone, I forgot how he said he got this info, but someone was working on a movie that it was with Glenn Powell and Jonathan Majors. It was a fighter plane movie. I forgot what it was called, like Devotion or something like that. But the person was friends with someone they were working on the movie, and they were friends with someone in Jonathan Majors' camp. And apparently during the filming process of that movie, Jonathan Majors, he landed the role for Kang in Avengers, Kang Dynasty and Quantum Mania and whatnot. And so I guess that person in Jonathan Majors' camp told the person that where this information comes from, that they just talked numbers and how many movies and stuff, and the nature of the character and all like the multiversal aspects and multiple versions of the character. I guess there was something in the contract that said he couldn't be recast. Like, he was gonna play every version of the character, whether it's like a lizard version or whatnot. So he was gonna play every version of the character. You probably have to like maybe tweak that with if it's like a younger variant or whatnot. But a main Kang, like, he was gonna play that version. So that's probably why they haven't recast yet or whatnot, or if they even can. But then also Mason was saying that there's probably, if that was the case, there's probably a clause though on the contract that says if there are any, like a moral clause or something. I don't know the logistics on this, but that could Like, if he were to get into a situation like he is now or anything like that, that they could go a different direction. So I don't know. So we would honest, this is just all still developing and stuff. So it's just what are they doing? Are they gonna go with Kang? Are they gonna shift to Doctor Doom? I would personally like Kang. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. And again, I'm not saying this as in like I don't think they could do something cool with him, but I'm just really not drawn to Kang. Um like he's cool character. And I feel like when we see him fully powered and stuff, he'll be cool. But I don't know. It's just, especially since we got all this with Jonathan Majors and his allegations and whatnot. I don't know what's going on with that. If that's true and whatnot. It's just I'm not really drawn to the character anymore, and I would 100 rather them shift to like Doctor Doom. Like I really want to see some like big Doctor Doom stuff. I don't know a ton actually. I can't wait till I'll be able to stop saying this as I'm reading more and more comics, which I'll get into later. But I don't know a ton about him in the comics, but I just know he's a really big figure. I've read storylines with him in it and stuff. I read this one story where it was about Doctor. It was I really liked it a lot. I'll try to remember the name, but I can't right now. But it was Doctor Doom retelling his past or whatnot, and he's just going through it, and and it seems like an accurate recap of his events and everything, and it was a cool origin, getting a peek into who Doctor Doom was. But then there's a cool twist in it by the end of it, where it's just like, okay, what the fuck was any of that true? Like what? And it's just I really like that story. And then even then, like the old Fantastic Four movies in the early 2000s, and you get the cartoons and whatnot. Like Doctor Doom has always the Ultimate Alliance game. Like come on, like he's always been around my childhood, and I just want to see something really cool with Doctor Doom. Yeah, so if they pivot from, I personally would want them to pivot from Kang, but we just don't know yet. And then also on Avengers Kang Dynasty, Destin Daniel Cretton is no longer involved to direct, but he's still involved with. Oh, I'll pause that right there. So he's no longer set to direct Avengers Kang Dynasty. So it just seems that they're just really shifting these movies. And Destin Daniel Cretton, he did Shang-Chi, which I enjoyed a lot. Loved the action and stuff in Shang-Chi. Yeah, and it had really good I wouldn't say really good cinematography, but it had some pretty decent shots in it. But so it just seems like they're just reworking this whole Kang thing, and I wonder if this is going to get a name change or what. So that's going to be interesting just to see develop in the next couple months or however long it takes. And then also, keeping on Destin Daniel Cretton, he's still involved with Shang-Chi 2, which is great. I really want to see a sequel with that. Shang-Chi has been really missing from the MCU. Like, I think I was mentioning this last week. After his movies just kind of disappeared, really hasn't appeared in anything, like on some cameo shit or some post-credit scenes. His bangles were supposed to, not his bangles, that's Kamala Khan, but his 10 rings were supposed to be reaching out deep into the galaxy. We haven't really got anything with that. So it's just like, what's up with Shang-Chi? I really like the actor's performance and everything. So I really want to see more with Shang-Chi. And then so also it says he's still involved with Wonder Man. And I am very, very happy to hear news about Wonder Man, because I think I was also saying last week how Wonder Man is scrapped, or maybe not last week, maybe the week before. We just haven't gotten anything on it. And I don't know a whole lot about Wonder Man, and I think when I was talking about it, I was struggling to give a synopsis. But it just, Immortalist, at the bottom line, it just has some really good people in working on it. Destin Daniel Cretton's working on it. The main actor who's playing Wonder Man is really good. He plays Black Manta in the current Aquaman movie, Aquaman 2. He played Candyman in the Candyman reboot by Nia DaCosta, which I'll be talking about the Marvels later. So it just has, and then it also has I think the guy from Better Call Saul's involved with it. So like the main actor, Bob Odenkirk, I think. So it just has some really good names attached to it. So I was really looking forward to that. But then news on it really kind of stopped, and it was kind of in the air if it was canceled or not. But it says the series resumes shooting after Thanksgiving. And then Wonder Man will be under the new Marvel Spotlight series banner. which that series banner is projects that are a lot more character focused. I'm not gonna say mature, but Echo is under the banner, and there was a shot in that guy where he was shooting a guy in the face, and it showed the whole thing. So it's gonna be more mature and stuff, hopefully, but at the very least, more character focused. And the stuff under the banner seems to be a lot more creatively driven. I don't want to necessarily say that, but that's what it seems, because Echo is the first thing under the spotlight banner. It just seems like has a very unique, not unique, but has a very strong personality compared to the other Disney Plus shows, and not including Loki and WandaVision. I think WandaVision looks plain mostly, but it just has really cool concepts, and that is what gives it a nice personality and makes it stand out. But yeah, so glad to hear about Wonder Man. And then on the second Avengers, I don't know which one comes first. So I think it's Kang Dynasty, then Avengers Secret. So Avengers Kang Dynasty, then Avengers Secret Wars. But Moon Knight and Loki season 2 directors Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, so the guys who are currently working on the Daredevil Born Again series, have expressed interest in directing Avengers Secret Wars. So I wasn't a huge fan of Moon Knight, but I really like the direction of Moon Knight. Okay, I wouldn't say the like just the making of, like, the filming and the editing and the cinematography and stuff. And also Loki has really good does all that stuff really good as well. So getting these guys on, if you get a strong writer and you get these guys on if you get these guys on Secret Wars, man, we can have a banger. I just really want to watch superhero stuff with a strong personality and artistic direction. Like, I'm just tired of this, like, flat lighting, plainly just boring, like, no camera movement, just the standard stuff. I just want some creativity and personality to be put into this stuff at this point as we move forward, and we consume so much already. So we just need to keep it spiced up, you know? So if them guys be getting on it, I think them expressing interest, and if they get on it, that would be really cool. So we got some fantastic forecasting. I wouldn't say rumors, because I feel like these are pretty. They're not officially confirmed, but what are the words I'm trying to say? It's pretty likely. So we have Pedro Pascal has reportedly been signed on as Mr. Fantastic. Okay, so if you don't know who Pedro Pascal is, he plays Din Djarin in The Mandalorian. And he is in other stuff too, but I'm just saying nerd shit, I guess. Din Djarin in The Mandalorian Star Wars show. He plays Max something in Wonder Woman 1984. That was probably a bad thing to say. Sorry, let's just look. I'm over here trying to, like, do it off the top of my head, like I don't have a computer right in front of me. Oh, obviously he was in The Last of Us. He was in Game of Thrones. I'm not gonna say his fate in that. Apparently he was in Narcos. Heard that was really good. Let's see. He was in Boba Fett. Yeah. He was in that one movie with Nicolas Cage. What is that movie called? Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent or something. Heard that was pretty good as well. Let's see. So he's been in quite a few things, and he's a really good actor. Let me just say that. But when I heard this news, I was kind of lukewarm on it, because he's in a lot of things, and I'm not saying I'm tired of seeing him, but it's just I kind of wanted to see someone else. It's just maybe because I know that it's gonna be good, but this is kind of a weird point to try to articulate. This is something I have to see in motion, and not saying because he doesn't look like Reed. It's just I don't know. I know the thing is okay. I know he's a good actor, and I know he's gonna do good because he has the range to pull it off. It's just I haven't really seen anything, and maybe he has roles and I haven't seen it. Just anything like Reed Richards. And so I just can't imagine it in my mind, and I can't really imagine him in the Fantastic Four costume. So I'm kind of like lukewarm on this, and I kind of wanted them to go kind of lesser known for the Fantastic Forecast. But again, Pedro Pascal, he's a good grab, and this is reportedly, so this is not for sure. And then I also said maybe he could even be Doctor Doom. So I don't know how true that is, but I would say it's a good bet that he's Mr. Fantastic. And then I guess Marvel Studios reportedly met with Mads Mikkelsen for the role of Doctor Doom. So that is, I would say, a lot more. You need to take that with a lot bigger with a lot more grain of salt. So that's very rumor. Mads Mikkelsen, he played Calicius in Doctor Strange. He was a villain there, but it's not uncommon for MCU actors, to be reused for different roles. It's happened a couple times. I was gonna give some examples, but hold on. Yeah, I was gonna give some examples, but I can't think of any. And if I thought for about 5 more seconds, I probably could think of a couple, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna waste my time talking about it. But anyways, and then furthermore, we have Javier Bardem is reportedly being eyed to play Galactus. I'm gonna look him up because I actually want to see what more stuff he's in. The only thing I've seen him in was before I even like really knew who he was. I still don't really know who he is, but was in No Country for Fudge. Is that what it's called? Yeah, No Country for Old Men. And that movie's so fire to me. And he's like plays an antagonistic role in that. He knocked it out of the park. He's so just menacing and stuff. And so him as Galactus, I really like if this is a thing. And I wonder how they're gonna go it, because Galactus has a mask mostly, and he has a very expressive, unique face. That kind of sounds like a diss, but it really isn't. So I'm saying basically, like, if they were to cover his face with a mask the whole time, I feel like you wouldn't get the full out of his performance. So I wonder how they're gonna play Galactus. Is he gonna be super big? I'm pretty sure. I feel like he's gonna have both forms, like super big, planet size, and maybe skyscraper size, and maybe even man size. So I don't know. I want to see the big helmet, but also I want to see Javier's face as well. Like I said, to get the full performance, but even if they do the helmet, I'm not too fussed about that. I think this is another good get. And then you have some potential here are the what am I trying to say? Sorry, I was like reading at the same time. Here are the other members that could possibly be cast. So we have Vanessa Kirby, widely tipped to be Sue Storm, aka the Visible Woman, and then you have Joseph Quinn, to be playing Johnny Storm. He's from Stranger Things. I'm not sure what Vanessa Kirby's in. I've probably seen her and stuff, but I can't think of off the top of my head. But Joseph Quinn, he's from Stranger Things. He plays Eddie Munson. I liked him in that, but I don't really see him as Johnny Storm. I don't know. Again, this is something I have to see in motion. I probably like it once I see it in motion. Also, Vanessa Kirby, I really don't see her with Pedro Pascal. She just has a very youngish looking face. I don't even know how old she is, but she looks like just really young to be with. And maybe it's just a picture I seen. Let me actually look her up. Okay, well, never mind. She does. Yeah, I think it was just a picture I seen. I could see her. With Pedro Pascal. Let me see what she's in, what movie she's in, because she was in Napoleon. Oh, Mission Impossible. I think I heard she was good in there. Yeah, I haven't really seen her in anything that I've watched before. But I think she's a really good actress. I think that's the general consensus, even if it isn't, everyone deserves a chance. And then Ebony Moss, I'm just gonna say Ebony Moss Battrack. Eben Moss Battrack. Well, he was sorry if I pronounced that name wrong. He was in the Punisher series. He played Micro, basically like Punisher's supply man, getting him all the stuff he needs. And he was in Andor. He's in The Bear. I really like him as an actor. He's really good. So he's rumored to play The Thing, which would be really cool. I really like him as The Thing. I think this is like the only one where I could like see very clearly, even with prosthetics and or CGI and whatnot, I could still see him as a thing and playing a good thing with the right voice effects and whatnot. But yeah, so that's the rumors on the casting of the Fantastic Four. And then we have Alexandra Byrne, I think is how you pronounce it, as the costume designer for Fantastic Four. And I made a tweet about this. Follow me at DS2 Smooth, because discussing films set her up, bro. This is how they worded the tweet. Alexandra Byrne from the Avengers and the Flash is set as a costume designer for Fantastic Four. So I made a tweet and I was like, this has 50-50 chance to be good or bad because it lists the Avengers and the Flash. But apparently she's a 6-time Oscar nominee, 1-time Oscar winner, MCU vet costume designer on Thor, The Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Age of Ultron, and Doctor Strange. And it says y'all choose to mention the Flash. This was a reply under the tweet. And that was a straight setup because I was like, what? But all those costume designer, obviously, do they come up with the concepts or do they like actually make the costumes? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, are they in charge of the look or just like the material and the making of? I'm not too sure, but I think all those, even the Flash, I think I liked Flash's costume for the most part, but I really liked Supergirl's costume. And then, so my tweet said this has a 50-50 chance of being good, and this was just off of the Avengers and the Flash. But I'm gonna say my point that I said in my tweet. So the Avengers has very clean, campy costumes, and I mean that in the best way possible. Like, they literally look straight out of like a comic book, and they just look super clean and stuff, and they look super campy, and I feel like that will translate perfectly to the Fantastic Four, especially and when I say this, I mainly am talking about Captain America's costume. It's just super campy and clean and simplistic, and translating something like that to Fantastic Four would be great, just because it would be a great stark contrast of, everyone has these like high-tech, over-designed suits, and then you just have them Fantastic Four coming in either like out of time or in a different dimension or however they play it, just with these super simplistic costumes. I feel like it would be a great comparison or a point of difference from the modern MCU. So I really hope they have like very simplistic classic designs on their costumes. But the person they got for that, I'm super excited that they'll do great work, because I really like all the costumes, pretty much all the costumes that they, at least material wise, for sure. Obviously, look wise, I'll probably like have different opinions, but for sure, material wise, all the costumes look great in all of those movies. When they actually are practical. So you have Robert Kirkman, creator of Invincible and showrunner, most likely showrunner on Invincible right now. So he made he was doing like an interview or something, and Steven Yeun, he's playing the character Invincible on Invincible, aka Mark Grayson. He's a voice actor for him. If you don't know who Steven Yeun is, he's played Glenn on The Walking Dead. He's probably been in he was in Nope. I really liked him in that too. He's a really good actor. I should look up what he's in to try to find out, just to watch more stuff that he's in, because he is really good. But Robert Kirkman, he was doing an interview, and he I leaked that Steven Yeun will be playing the Sentry in the Thunderbolts. So if you don't know who the Sentry is, he's basically Marvel's Superman, but he's like kind of mentally unstable. I'm not sure what mental health problems he has, but he's a more mentally damaged character than Superman. He like doubts him. He like doubts himself, and there's a lot of nuance to his character, and I feel like Steven Yeun will play that really well, even though I don't know a ton about the Sentry in the comics, but there's I think a level of nuance that you could play with. But he so I guess Robert Kirkman was talking with Steven Yeun. He was like, yeah, I went into a costume fitting for, at Marvel, and he's like, I guess I only play characters that are yellow and blue, have yellow and blue costumes. And you mentioned the Sentry to Robert Kirkman, and because Invincible and Sentry's costumes are yellow and blue. And I guess Robert Kirkman, he just was doing the interview. He was like, "Yeah, my good friend Steven Yeun, he was telling me about his costume fitting for the Sentry over at Marvel. He was like, oh dang, did I say anything that wasn't supposed to be said? He's just like, well, I don't give a shit. I don't work for Marvel. Who cares?" And just kept it pushing with the interview. It was just a funny slip, and to find out that Steven Yeun was playing the Sentry, and he was speculated to play the Sentry because he was, I think, it was already known that he was on the Thunderbolts. It was just whether who was playing, and a lot of people said the Sentry. So I guess Steven Yeun is the Sentry. So that's gonna be pretty cool to see, especially the Superman type character in the MCU. I was gonna say it for the first time, but we we got Icarus. He had like lasers and could fly and stuff. So, but it's cool to. He didn't really interact with anyone in the MCU, so it'd be cool to see this type of character interact with the MCU and how the Thunderbolts gonna fucking fight Sentry. Because I don't think there's anyone on that team that is even on Superman level at all. So, and the Thunderbolts team is basically the Suicide Squad. And dang, my bad. It's basically the Suicide Squad, and what's it called? They just gotta not character wise, but maybe character wise, but I'm saying premise wise. And again, it's probably not even the same premise, but it's in the same vein, like a team of villains or whatnot, or anti-heroes or whatever. But yeah, it's like a bunch of assassins and barely anyone with powers, so I don't even think how they're gonna fight the Sentry. But cool, Steven Yeun in the MCU, great. So we have the Marvels. It's not looking too hot in its second weekend at the box office. So I'll just go over this, and there's quite a bit of the Marvels news, a little bit, but we'll get into it. So the Marvel earns $10.2 million in the film's second domestic weekend, a 78% drop. So that is very bad. Does this movie deserve? All right, I'm gonna get into all it like why this is the case or whatnot, but that's very bad. So the average drop off from so if 100 people go see a movie the first weekend and then 30 go back the next weekend, that's a 70% drop off. The average drop off for like a blockbuster movie is probably around 50-60%, and 55 to 60%, I would say, like the average. Maybe 55 to 65, and I would say like good is like 40, like good great is 45-50. So 78 is terrible. And then the Marvels is expected to end its theatrical run, earning 210 million to 240 million globally, making it the lowest grossing MCU movie ever. The movie had a $270 million budget. So yeah, it's still early on, so these numbers could change, like these projected numbers for its overall run could change. But 240, even on the high end, 240 million globally is pretty bad, especially with a $270 million budget, and that was like the higher end of the budget. I think maybe it could go from 250 to 270, but you have to usually double that to account for marketing. So if it's 250, it needs to make 500 million to be profitable, or 500 million plus to be profitable and in the green. So yeah, 240 million, you're not even halfway there. So that's a really big loss. But on the brighter side of things, congrats to Nia DaCosta, because the Marvels makes box office history as the highest grossing theatrical release of all time by a Black woman director at 110 million. So that's good. I don't think her directing was the problem at all with this movie. I think is the length. I guess I can get into why it's performing so badly. So I think it's the length. One, the actor strike, for sure. The actors couldn't properly promote this movie and whatnot. So that's gonna hurt it very bad. Of course, you have your exceptions of movies still doing good during the actor strike. So it's not an end all be all, but I feel like it's the exception. And so plus if you don't have the actors to promote it and whatnot, and then you already have this movie not really getting the greatest word of mouth. And again, I don't think it's terrible, but Marvel's track record and how they've been fumbling lately, I feel like you really need strong word of mouth if it's not something that is like highly anticipated, like Deadpool 3 or the next Spider-Man movie or something. You're gonna really need strong word of mouth going forward with the Marvel movies and just the Marvel brand until they really build themselves back up. Even if they do build themselves back up, so this movie not having strong word of mouth definitely contributed to that. If I wasn't doing this podcast, or yeah, if I wasn't doing this podcast, I probably would have waited on the Marvels, to keep it a buck with you. I can't say that for sure because I did like the post credit scene in Miss Marvel that leads into the Marvels, so I wanted to already hear that. But maybe I wouldn't have went day or like the first weekend. Maybe I wouldn't went second weekend or just waited for it to drop on Disney Plus. But I wasn't like super interested in this movie besides like how it. Or let me rephrase that. The word of mouth would have had me like a little turned off, and I've been like, okay, I'll wait for it or whatnot. So yeah, and then so you have the not good word of mouth, the actor strike, and then also you have Disney being boycott, because they're political things that's going on and whatnot, and boycotted rightfully so. So you can have that effect on it, and then also this isn't an end all be all, but it's all women led movie, and you just get those. I wouldn't say harder. I wouldn't say a touchy subject, but something I guess I don't have the right knowledge and stuff to speak on. But it's just when you have an all woman cast, it's not gonna possibly perform as well. And I'm like dancing around that because that isn't always the case. Like you can get you can get bangers from all female led. Like that doesn't necessarily mean anything. It just a lot more people are quick to write it off rather than it just being something they're familiar with, or with males or whatnot. Not necessarily white males, but men in general. So it could be written off a lot more easy. But again, there's exceptions to movies that are female led doing well. But I think that definitely also plays a part. And was there another good point? Marvel's shoddy track record, not good word of mouth, strikes, female led. So I just think this movie just was not released at a great time, to be honest. Like I said, I don't think it warrants all the hate it's getting, or I don't think it was that bad. It was definitely fun, and the characters were fun and stuff. And then also you have Brie Larson has no plans to say goodbye to Captain Marvel. She says, "There's still so much inside of Carol. I don't want Marvel to come for me. There's definitely something that I want to say, but I'm not going to." Yeah, I mean, I definitely felt that in the Marvels. Captain Marvel was way more of a character, and I've said it last week during the review. I feel like this movie would have definitely benefited if we got another Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel appearance after Endgame to really flesh her out a little bit more before this movie, because I feel like the Marvels had a lot of heavy lifting to do with with Captain Marvel's character and her relationship with Monica Rambeau, and then the Bangles, and there's just a lot to deal with. And I definitely would have either maybe even a Captain Marvel sequel like shortly after Endgame, and then maybe a Miss Marvel season 2 before the Marvels. There's definitely needed to be something, at least one of those between this and Endgame or whatever, Miss Marvel. It just was too much on this movie. But I would definitely, because I think I said like last week or something that Brie Larson might not come back to the character because how draining and stuff it was, because all the toxic fans and stuff, which would have been understandable. But it seems like she's still willing to play the character, which is cool. And like I said, Captain Marvel was way more of a character in the Marvels, and I would like to see more of her. I feel like you could do some cool things with Captain Marvel. I don't know a ton about her in the comics, but there could be some cool stuff. I really like her power set mostly, so you could definitely do some with her power set. And then so one of the stars of the Marvels, Iman Vellani, she plays Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. She had a response to the box office results, and I really like how she handled this. There's articles by the Direct. I suggest you read it. I'm not gonna go over everything. So this is her quote on the box office. The box office has nothing to do with me. I'm happy with the finished product and the people I care about enjoyed the film. It's genuinely a good time watching this movie, and that's all we can ask for these films. It has superheroes, it takes place in space, it's not that deep, and it's about teamwork and sisterhood. It's a fun movie, and I'm just so happy that I can share it with people. So, this is the right mindset to have. Like, is the people you care about like the film, you got paid for it, whatnot, cool. Like, you don't need to stress over the box office and whatnot, especially if you're someone like working on this stuff and how, it, and it is, I feel like definitely stuff should be held at a higher standard to get better quality stuff. But, sometimes it is just not that deep and you could just have fun. But again, this stuff still needs to be held to a higher standard so we can continue to get greater things. But I just really like how she handled it, and she's not letting it go. She's not letting the negativity get to her head, because she was really a standout, and I'm pretty sure she's gotten this praise, and she still deserves to continue getting this praise. But she was definitely a standout in the movie. And again, and not again, but I don't think any of the problems with the movie comes from her character or her acting abilities or anything like that. I think she did phenomenal, but I'm just glad that she's not letting this get her down, and she goes to talk about trying to remind fans not to throw a wet blanket on someone's excitement. I think that's what she said, because she knows what it feels like to be excited about something and to be shut down, and people not really care about what you're talking about, and that's a bad feeling. And so if you do see people enjoying stuff, yeah, and she goes on to say you can critique it, but if you see people having what I'm trying to say is, for instance, if I'm scrolling on Twitter, right, and Moon Knight, that is all right, yeah, we'll use Moon Knight. I think Moon Knight is insanely made. I mean, a lot of people do, but I think Moon Knight is insanely made, and it could have been a lot better than what it was. But if I see people talking on the TL about damn, Moon Knight was so cool, I really like these aspects of it, I'm not gonna come in and jump in the conversation and be like, bro, Moon Knight's made or whatever, If the topic was, oh, Moon Knight's made, they could have proved then I'll hop in and say, yeah, Moon Knight's made, and continue with and add to the conversation. But if the conversation is not about that, I'm not just gonna come in and just, like she says, throw a wet blanket on someone's excitement. That's shitty, and that's what a lot of people do. And I'm not going to say I'm exempt for this. And let me say this. Everything I say, I definitely try to hold myself to that standard, but I'm human, just like everyone else. So, some things I'll not handle properly, or, say I don't like this, but and do it myself. And again, that's not a trend that you should accept from someone, because that's hypocritical, but it's not a end all be all. It's oh damn, if they have this proper self-reflection and be like, damn, okay, I just did something that I say I don't like, it's everyone's human. You're not gonna be, there's some things that you stand on 100% won't make a mistake on, but for the most part, you're gonna mess up on things. But point being, I try not to throw a wet blanket on someone's excitement. Let people enjoy what they enjoy. If you see someone having fun, let them have fun. But also, because I was talking about earlier about how Daredevil's directors are really just diving into all the material and stuff. Iman goes on to say in this article about season 2 of Miss Marvel, if that is happening and what she would want that to look like. She goes on to say a character about Doc X. I'm not sure who that is. He's, I think, a newer character maybe. But she was just saying he's such a good villain, so he has something to do. This is what she said. Doc X is such a good villain to incorporate and act as the metaphor for how much content we're consuming and the ways we use technology to ruin other people's lives. I think that could work so well in a college setting or even her senior year. It's one of the storylines where Kamala is just at her peak nerdiness. Yeah, like I just said, I don't know a ton about Doc X, but I just really like how Iman Vellani is so invested in these characters and these storylines, and she knows what she's talking about. And it's just so, and again, you don't have to, especially as an actor, I think it matters more as a creator, but you don't have to be this involved in this stuff, but it just adds a extra level of I think I said it earlier, just adds an extra level of care that you see that they're gonna take with the character and fight for stuff to get right and whatnot, like, and stuff like that. And I just really like that. And she wrote something in the comics for Miss Marvel recently, and it's just so cool seeing someone so involved and invested and basically like one of us, and just so into this stuff. And again, you don't have to be, but it's just so cool. And then you have what's her name? What's her name? The girl, she was on Wednesday, and everyone was sipping over her. Oh my gosh, what is her name? Wednesday. What is her name? Jenna Ortega. She's a young actress as well, and I don't know if it was on the first season, but I know on the second season for sure that she's going to be like an executive producer on there, because she's like consulting and, making story changes and whatnot, because she likes the character and stuff that makes more sense for the story. And I just see the same type of, drive in Iman Vellani, and it's just cool. And, it'll be really cool to see if Miss Marvel does get a season 2, and if she can do something like that as well and really have input to the story, because she seems like someone that is really cares about the characters, interested in the character. And then also she goes on to say, because she gets a little, spoilers for Miss Marvel. Spoilers for Miss Marvel. You don't want to know anything. It's like it's the scene before the post-credit scene. So if you don't know when to be spoiled on that, then skip ahead. There'll be time codes for sure, but skip ahead. So spoilers for Miss Marvel. So in that she gets a little Nick Fury moment, and she goes to she's acting like Nick Fury, how he was with Iron Man, recruiting Kate Bishop into the Young Avengers basically. And a lot of people, so the article goes into like, oh, you get your own Nick Fury moment. So how do you feel about that? And hold on. Sorry. I want to find this so bad. Also, this there's another article by the Nerdist where she goes into say, the representation. Oh, that's something I want to say about the Marvels. Fudge. This is all in spoilers. Oh well, but the Marvels have. I didn't talk about the representation and stuff with the Marvels, and she goes in the Nerdist. This Nerdist article with Iman Vellani. I suggest reading it. She goes into how the culture and stuff was in Miss Marvel, and I didn't mention that, but that's a really big point, because I mentioned culture and stuff when I was making my Blue Beetle Ninja Turtles video. Go check that out, DS2 Smooth. So I think that's really important. But so this is the prompt. Kamala gets her little Nick Fury in Iron Man moment at the end of the film, which had me excited. It seems that the new team seems quite intriguing. Do you have a dream team aside from Kate and now potentially Cassie, Ant-Man's daughter? Even someone who isn't in the MCU yet. So Iman, this is her response. People really love these young Avengers. I don't even know if they actually read those comics. Not that they're bad. The chemistry between Kamala, Miles, and Sam is too good. I would love to see that trio in the MCU. Neither of those characters exist in live action yet, but I'm praying for it. This is funny because I've seen a lot of people on Twitter say this, like, people keep talking about the Young Avengers and they don't even know who they are. And apparently, like, the team that you should want to see are the champions, which she said. So she said Miles. So it's Sam Alexander, Miles Morales, and Kamala Khan. So Miles Morales, Spider-Man, and Sam Alexander. He's Nova. I want to say one of the versions of Nova. Not versions, but it gets passed down to him. But I found out about Sam Alexander Nova from the Ultimate Spider-Man show with, unfortunately, Drake Bell. That show, besides him, is really good. It gets hated on, but I think it's just a super fun show. But he's in that, so Spider-Man's on a team, and he has, like, Luke Cage, and they're all younger, like, teenage age. Luke Cage, Tigress, I think, like, Black Panther's sister or something, or White Tigress. Is it Shuri? I don't know if it's Shuri. I don't think it is. But White Tigress, Spider-Man, Luke Cage, Nova, and Iron Fist. It's a fun show, but that's what made me really hip to Sam and made me really want to go check out his comics. I haven't yet. I'll get into that later, but so I really am interested in him as a character. And then you have Miles Morales, obviously. Like, I'm interested in him. I think Miles is so fire. They need to. I'll get into it, but. So I really would want it, like she said, I really would want to see that. I want to see the champions over the Young Avengers. I think on the champions, it has like Viv, and I think that's like Vision's daughter as the Kamala Khan, like I just said. Miles Morales, Nova, and some other members. I would definitely want to rather see them than the Young Avengers because I think the Young Avengers has like Hulkling and Speed. I don't know, it's just some characters I really just don't really care about. So I'm with her on that. Young Avengers all the way. I want to see that trio just like her. So it's just cool seeing how she's just so into the teams and future storylines for her show and whatnot. So that's just cool. So on the trailers side of things, we have What If season 2. This looked cool. I mean, I think I was talking about the episode list maybe a week or two ago. So the trailer, we get like I think 1980s, 1990s Avengers. So I think one of the stories in the first season was what if Peter Quill got delivered to Ego? Or no. I think that's how one of them ended, and Ego found Peter Quill. But I think in this is what if Peter Quill got delivered like properly to Ego? So he was supposed to be he got abducted. Peter Quill as a young kid, he's the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy. He was abducted by the Ravengers, and he was supposed to be transported to his father, Ego the Living Planet. But instead, the Ravengers kept him, and he was raised a space pirate, and that's how he turned out how he was. And so, but when he links up with his dad and whatnot, he gets like powers. And so I guess like now that he did get properly delivered to his dad, now they're going to try to take over Earth. But so I think that makes the like a 1990s 1980s Avengers team form. So you get like Ant-Man from like original Ant-Man from so Michael Douglas, the first Ant-Man, and then you have T'Chaka, that's T'Challa's dad, and then you have Marvel. She was in Captain Marvel, the first one. Trying to see these members. I think so Bucky seems to be there. So you get like these 1980s, 1970s Avengers team, which is cool, which would be cool to see. There was a cool prompt. It was like Hela versus Odin and the Mandarin versus Hela or something like that. So that was a cool one. It looks like we'll be seeing something like that. There's like this big death race. I think it's on Sakaar as like Iron Man, Valkyrie, Gamora, and they're like in this giant death race. So interested to see how that comes to play. I'm just going through the trailer like right now. And then also this is gonna be releasing instead of one every week. This is gonna be releasing for like a week straight with one every day, which is a cool release strategy. So that's cool. And then the animation also like continues to look great. There's a shot of Thor throwing his hammer and it was like creating a bunch of destruction. That was cool. Okay, yeah. So it looks like the Mandarin. I don't know. It's the Mandarin and maybe I think someone in that realm or something. They're like firing attack against. It looks like Odin walking, but I thought it is against Odin. But I thought it was against Hela. Yeah, he creates like a blast and knocks him back. But I thought it was against Hela, but maybe not. And then like you have a shot of in Avengers Infinity War when Captain America tried to run the 101s with Thanos and got mollywopped. During that little like dust up, he just puts the hands on Thanos in the movie. But during this, they still have that same little fight. But Captain America, he seemingly hits the time stone in Thanos' glove, so that might like create some like time rifters, send through time or something. So that's gonna be interesting to see. We have Hulk with long hair and a beard. Gonna see what's interesting. We see what's up with that. We have like Ant-Man in some type of jousting gear or something, and same with Captain America. Oh, so that jousting thing I was talking about, Captain America has his shields from Infinity War, the ones that Black Panther gave him, and he's with Ant-Man though. So I was gonna say maybe like this sent him through time or something, but from my knowledge, Ant-Man wasn't in Infinity War. So, I don't know. Maybe it could just be alternate timeline. Not sure. Doctor Strange Supreme or whatever, the Doctor Strange from the first season, he's back. He's like I think the most powerful Doctor Strange that we've seen. So that's cool. And then we got to look at the original hero if the Tesseract I think landed in the Native American times and on their land. So it looks like maybe we're gonna get a bunch of like little stories and then have them all come together again like the first season. Yeah, so it looks like this last shot, the Watcher, he's like showing Peggy Carter like so the he's like showing her something, the title comes up and it like they're looking at the what if title. So maybe she's a key player into how all this is connected or something. And then like the last shot is Happy Hogan Saves Christmas. So whatever on that one, I'm not really that's cool. But yeah, I mean, what if trailer? Nothing too crazy, but and just definitely interested. And I like how they're releasing it one a day. But we have the Madam Web trailer. Now this I don't know what episode I said it on, but I have a heavy disdain for for the Sony universe, like all the Morbius, the Venom 2, the Venom 1, everything. I don't like them. How are you going to try to make a Marvel villain cinematic universe without Spider-Man? Make it make sense, please. Not even a mention, not even a allude to, and I don't count Morbius, like that doesn't count. Just not anything. So now we have Madam Web. So Madam Web, I'm not 100% on her character. She just shows up in shit I watch, and she is usually has something to do with the Spider Verse. So she was in like the '90s cartoon. She was I forgot. She's like she has like I think maybe her legs don't work, but she has like these psychic web powers, and she's connected to the multiverse or whatnot. And she's usually, like I said, in the a part of some the Spider Verse shenanigans, even though she wasn't a part of the recent Miles Morales Spider Verse movies. But in the 1990s cartoon and Spider Man, I was gonna say Web of Shadows, but Shattered Dimensions, she plays a part in there. Maybe even Ultimate Spider-Man, she might play a part. I'm trying to think of something. I know she's in something else. Sorry, I'm stretching. I'm blanking. I don't know. But this movie is about like four. So Madam Web, she character in this, um, she's like she's a she works for not works for, but she's like an ambulance driver. Like she's a medical responder, and she ends up drowning or something, and or not drowning. She like dies in a diner by this evil Spider-Man, and she ends up being able to. She comes back to life, and is able to see the future, or is like on some Final Destination type shit. So this guy's like hunting the Spider Woman, and he's saying that like, damn, I gotta kill these women because in the future they fuck some shit up, and so I gotta go fuck them up. And so he he's after them, and she's able to see how they die, and was able to kind of fight him off, and by seeing the future and whatnot. But it just one thing that immediately this looks ass for sure. But one thing that grabbed me, I guess, from the trailer was the camera work. I feel like there's some good camera movement in the action and whatnot. And so this evil Spider-Man, so he's Ezekiel Sims, and he's from like this storyline. Not 100% on it. He's like from this storyline where it tried to retcon Spider-Man's origin. So usually Spider-Man, he's bitten by a radioactive spider, and it gives him spider-like abilities. Cool. And so they try to retcon his story, and so there's these animal totems, and basically they were able to pass down the powers of like the animal to you, or whatever. And the spider that bit Peter was part of the totem, and Ezekiel, and it's a bad storyline. And so great, already using a character from a storyline that's not really well liked, and that like goes into like some spider vampires and Moreland and shit, and it's it's very complicated. I wouldn't say very, but it's complicated for no reason, I should say. So Ezekiel Sims, he has Spider-Man abilities. I don't know if he's like organic webs or whatnot. And so this movie just, I don't know, it just looks super flat. The dialogue is very exposition-y. The cuts are very crazy. It just, I don't know. Not even I don't know. It just looks like one of those Sony Marvel movies, and it doesn't look too great. And the CGI looks super bouncy, and like I'm really like in real time debating if I'm going to see this movie or not. And I don't think so. This doesn't even look like it's so bad it's fun type of movie. This just looks boring. And then like at the end they shows them all in their costumes or whatnot, and the costumes look pretty fine, I guess. But yeah, just don't really contemplating if all right, I'll see this movie. I'll probably end up watching this movie at some point in my life, but if it's a slow week and I don't have anything to review or talk about or anything, I don't have like a topic that I come up with, then I'll probably watch this movie week one. But this might be another skipperoo for me, buddy. It's just not fucking with. Sorry. Zori. So the next trailer, this one's a little bit more interesting. Well, maybe. It is to me at least. We have the first trailer for the stop motion Pokemon Concierge series, releasing December 28th on Netflix. So I have a not interesting relationship, but growing up I did not like Pokemon at all. I just felt super stupid. I hated the cards, and so by extension I hated the show and really wouldn't give it a chance, to be honest. I still really don't like the show. I haven't watched it, so I'm not too interested in the show now, but I have come around on the games. I think what really turned me was Pokemon Go. And then I think I got like Pokemon Diamond for my 3DS or something. I found my old 3DS, and then I was on like a Pokemon Go, and I was like, let me try a Pokemon game, and I got like Pokemon Diamond, and I really like the Pokemon games, or the older ones, or I can't speak on the newer ones, but Pokemon Diamond's fun. So I've come around on Pokemon. But this was interesting to me because it's stop motion. And I don't know, stop motion is really interesting. A really good movie, stop motion movie, Fantastic Mr. Fox. There's also other great stop motion. I think Gorman and what are the names? I forgot what their names are. You have like Paranorman, Coraline. I don't know. I just really like the medium. I think it's really interesting, stop motion. And so the Pokemon's, I haven't watched this trailer yet, so let me watch it really quick. So correction. Apparently it's did I say series? I thought it was a movie, but I think I said series, but it's a series. And yeah, I mean, it looks like it's nothing like crazy or anything. It's just literally a lady. She's on a Pokemon resort, and she's a concierge, and she's taking care of Pokemon and making sure they're straight. And I think the draw to this is obviously, for me, is the stop motion aspect of it. And just the different Pokemon just walking around and their designs and stuff and how they look in stop motion. It's cool. It's going to be cool. I don't know if I'll watch it all the way through, but I'll definitely check this out. It's like a fun, cute time. She's like, I think one of the main Pokemon is gonna be a Psyduck. That's just like following her around, and she's just talking about how she doesn't like Pokemon. Don't really tell you if they're what makes them happy or whatnot. She's just trying to look out for their well-being. It just, like I said, it looks like a fun, cute time, and I'll definitely check it out because I think Pokemon in general, it's an interesting concept. So I want to see which Pokemon is going to be in it, like how they're going to portray their powers and whatnot, and stuff like that. And so the last trailer before we get on to some DC news is Merry Little Batman. So this trailer, I would say, is like a parody movie, kind of like. There's nothing I can really just like compare it to, but or let me like watch it to see if I get any ideas. It just has a very distinct art style and something that you probably wouldn't really necessarily use for Batman. Like, it's just very goofy. Fudge. I'm trying to find something to compare this to, but very just expressive, over the top art style. Like Batman has a big ass crimson chin from Fairly Odd Parents. Yeah, he's just acting like a goofball as Bruce Wayne. It's definitely not something to be taken seriously. Like, if I don't know, some of those people, like, you'll get funny adaptations like this, and some people will fucking be banging on the keyboard. This is not comic accurate. Batman doesn't act this way. Like, bro, shut up, bro. It's just an adaptation. Like, there's a million one adaptations. Like, you will be fine over this one being a little goofy, bro. Calm down. Go touch some grass. But basically, this is about the goofy movie, and what happens to Batman? He gets like trapped in the North Pole or some shit like that. And Damian Wayne, his son, basically has to step up and save Christmas from the Joker and Batman's villains. And again, it just looks like something fun. I'll definitely this is like a movie. It's on Amazon Prime. Does it have a release date? Let me see. December 8th on Amazon Prime. So yeah, I definitely want to watch this one. I said I was on the last thing. I think Pokemon thing. I was a little, iffy on all the way through, but I'll definitely be checking this out. I think it looks really fun. It really reminds me of like kind of not the art style, but just the goofiness and kind of like Teen Titans Go and whatnot. And some people don't like that show, but I think it's pretty goofy. I think when that show came out, I was just like starting to stopping to watch cartoons, so I like saw like maybe the first season or the first two seasons, and I liked it. Just grew out of kind of not even grew out of. I still watch cartoons, but I don't know. I was just in that phase where I was like anti-cartoon, like I was growing up type shit. But yeah, it looks like a fun, goofy time with Damian. Damian Wayne's my favorite Robin, so it's cool to see a little bit more stuff on him. So especially with the new movie coming out. But on some more DCU updates, I was saying at the intro how DCU updates are kind of my like favorite thing of the week to talk about because I'm just really excited for this universe. But Maria Gabriela De Farah has been cast as the engineer in James Gunn's Superman Legacy. So she's a part of this character don't know jack shit about. She's a part of this group called the Authority, and so think of the Avengers and then think of the Authority as the hardcore Avengers. I mean, I guess you could just think of the Justice League, but think of that, but the hardcore version. Like, they're not afraid to kill. Like, there's a storyline where I think they, like, alien attacks them. I think something like this happened to Invincible, or I could just be confusing these two things, but, like, an alien attacks them and they go to their planet and, like, destroy the whole entire planet, and, so they stop them from attacking or whatnot. So they're that type of group of people. Like, they're not afraid to kill, and if killing you prevents for future destruction, they will kill you. But so in the article it says a villain. So I don't think the engineer, because I'll be getting to this the villain of reportedly the villain for Superman Legacy. So I don't think they're villains. I think they'll be in a more antagonistic role, and to maybe to be, I guess, a point of contention. Is that the right word for Superman? Because like I said, how they're very quick to kill you. Superman, that's kind of Superman's last resort if he does kill. That's my favorite adaptation of Superman. Superman that doesn't have a no kill rule, but he's very, very, very reluctant to kill. Like, that is his last resort. And I mean, like, last resort. Like, if there's no other way, then he will kill you. That's my favorite way of Superman to go about it. But I'm not too fussed if he doesn't kill. If he kills, whatever. That's not I just feel like if he kills, it just needs to be written well. So this character, apparently she has like nanotech blood. So she has like this like silver, like this silver like sheen over her skin, like the silver shine, and I guess she can like morph weapons out of her hands and whatnot, kind of like I would say kind of like Bloodsport. I don't know, that's kind of obscure. I mean, but he was in the Suicide Squad. If you know the DCU James Gunn, then you know what I'm talking about. But you just make weapons and stuff, so that's cool. I haven't really seen her anything, but a lot of people seem to be excited about that. And then reportedly, so this comes from Can We Get Some Toast? So take this with a grain of salt. Brainiac will be the main villain in James Gunn's Superman Legacy. So that's why I said about the engineer, how the article said that she's a villain. So I don't know if she's necessarily a villain. Maybe from the information they got, maybe it seems like she's a villain, but I feel like it's gonna be more of an antagonistic role and not necessarily a villain. But if Brainiac, I've wanted to see. That's where I wanted Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill. I wanted Brainiac to be the villain. I just want to see Brainiac in live action really bad. Again, don't know a lot about him in the comics, but the Justice League animated show or the animated Superman show, whatever. The animated movies and Injustice 2 games, the Lego games. Like, come on, like I know a little about Brainiac, and I think he's a really cool character. There's a lot of nuance to him as well with how he with his ideologies and whatnot. So that would be, I definitely been wanting to see him in live action. So if this is true, that is very great that he's the villain. And then so we got some potential, I guess, plot summaries plot summary between like kind of plot leak. So if you don't want to know anything about Superman's legacy story at all, this is, I wouldn't say this is anything super spoilery. I feel like this is more, if this is true, this is more like a synopsis of the plot. There's just something slight spoilery, but I don't think it's really that big of a deal. But if you want to skip it, I'll time codes below to skip ahead, or just skip ahead a couple minutes and to skip this part. But I'm just gonna go over these potential plot summary for Superman Legacy. So this comes from, so spoilers for potential Superman Legacy. If you don't want to know anything, skip ahead, or just use the time codes below. So this is from the 9th viewer Anon. I'm not sure who they are. They have 37K on Twitter. That doesn't mean anything necessarily. But I don't know. So I'm not sure who this person is, but Can We Get Some Toast did put them at the end of their tweet. So yeah, I don't know. But they say, so this is from him. Heard some stuff about Superman Legacy. I trust the source, but this stuff is always fuzzy. Superman's early in his career and isn't widely known. His big public reveal happens in the Middle East, where terrorists have gotten a hold of Kryptonian tech. Waller and Sam Lane send in the authority to investigate. They believe Superman is responsible. Superman learned of the tech in the Fortress of Solitude and hopes it will be the missing puzzle piece to discover where he comes from. Anyway, the big bad is Brainiac behind everything. As said in the first post, I trust the source, but it's always a game of telephone with info passed ear to ear. So we'll see how much of this, if anything, pans out. Sounds solid to me though, if true. So yeah, I would take this with a fucking bucket of salt. If let's just go by if this summary is true, I like where this is headed. Superman isn't widely known in his career yet. This seems to be a wider established universe already, and it seems like the authority, Waller and Sam Lane seem like they have the authority in their back pocket as like their little team. And so again, like, so if they're a more cutthroat version, it's gonna be very interesting to see them butt heads with Superman's ideology, and it's gonna be cool to see how Brainiac kind of like ties all this together. So the Brainiac wrinkle is a little confusing to me, because why would Brainiac want to, like, his whole, I'm pretty sure his whole thing is like he's trying to collect civilizations and preserve them, like basically like shrink them down into like model cities. And so it's kind of, I don't know why he would be orchestrating something like this behind the scenes. It doesn't really seem like his type of character, but again, I don't know everything about him. Maybe there's a specific storyline with he does some shit like this. I don't know. But so that kind of is a little iffy to me. But hey, if this plot summary is true, I like it. I think it's a good direction for Superman Legacy. And so onto some super related stuff. Anna Nogueira will be the writer for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I was talking about this in the intro. So Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is a run, I think, by Tom King, I believe, but it's super good. I only have like a few issues left. I just like dropped off. But I was really enjoying it a lot. It wasn't because I thought it was bad or anything. But she has credits on a lot of good things, and so a lot of people are happy about this. And if I knew more about her, I would probably feel the same way. But to a lot of people, it seems like James Gunn is being true to his word and trying to hire better writers for this stuff to make, stronger scripts. And, like, we need that for the genre to keep going forward. We can't stay in the stagnant state and have visuals and cameos be the only thing propelling this stuff forward. We're definitely going to need stronger writing and whatnot. And then also he's someone. This comes from Threads. Someone asked, like, do you have the director for, or something like that, to James Gunn? And he said they're currently looking for a director for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. And I don't know where this fell on the slate of things coming out. And I don't know if the slate that he did release when he was talking about all this stuff a while ago, I don't know if that was exactly in order. Like, I don't remember. I think maybe it was, because I'm saying if this is the case, Superman or Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow was pretty far down on that list. So that just makes me think if that list was in order, that means, like, he's trying to really build this stuff out and get as far as he can on this stuff, which is good for the foresight of the universe. Is that the right word? Just the future of it, and you can see the planning that is going into it. And so the last little bit of DC news before we get into some other just random film news that's not necessarily superhero related. Jason Momoa talks on Jimmy Fallon, I think, is he says Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, Aquaman 2, is the end of the DCEU, but there will always be a place for me at DC. So it's been heavily rumored that he's gonna play Lobo, which I think is a much more, not that I dislike him in the Aquaman role, but I think is a much more fitting role for him. And I'm really excited to see Lobo in the DCU if they do that. But he's basically seemingly confirming that he's gonna be playing Lobo, but no official word on that yet. But if he is playing Lobo, like I said, that'd be great. But then there's also a couple weeks back there was some like allegations that he was not behaving properly on set and like coming on set drunk and being belligerent and stuff. But nothing really has developed out of that. It was really a lot of he said, she said stuff. So I didn't want to get too much deep into that. But again, I think I said last time, I just want to, I don't know, keep the same tune. Like if that is true, I don't want him really, not that my opinion matters, but I don't really want him working on the DCU stuff because, you know, who wants a bad work environment? So if that stuff is true, I hope that he's not a part of the DCU. But yeah, but nevertheless, even if he doesn't play Lobo, I'm excited to see Lobo in the DCU and how that works because I think he's a very interesting character. He's like, if you don't know who Lobo is, I was gonna move on to the next piece. But if you don't know who the Lobo is, he's like this space bounty hunter who can't die. He basically can regenerate from any part of his body. Like if you cut like his toe off, I'm pretty sure that would like grow a new Lobo or something. But I'm not entirely sure. But he's just a super like over the top, belligerent, just swearing and just over the top character. And I want to see him in live action for sure. So apparently Creed 4 is in the works. This comes from the director. This was a Deadline article, so this comes from the producer Erwin Winkler says that Creed 4 is currently being worked on. They have they have a really good story and a really good plot for it. And then Michael B. Jordan is coming back to direct, and Michael B. Jordan made his directorial debut with Creed 3, and I really like Creed 3 a lot. Definitely has its problems. I think it needed a little bit more. I think it needed to be a little longer. So really, because I don't think we saw enough of Creed winning and stuff and really cementing himself as one of the best, like, you know, fighters or whatnot, or wherever he was in his career. I don't think that really convinced me on that. And then also with Jonathan Majors' characters, I don't really think his development was fully handled well. I feel like it was just like a quick turn out of nowhere and whatnot, and just the way things quickly developed for him, I think it definitely needed a bit more breathing room. But I really liked it. I really liked the creative vision behind it and everything. So I'm definitely open to see a Creed 4. Creed 1 is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. It's definitely up there for sure. I like Creed 1 a lot. So I'm definitely invested in the Creed series. And I think there's a Creed anime coming out about Creed's daughter, because she was deaf in the third movie, but she wanted to be a fighter. So I think that has something to do with that. But yeah, so anything that comes out of the Creed universe, I'm definitely keeping an eye on. And I think Michael B. Jordan's a great actor, and I think he's on his way to be a great director too with Creed 3. With how he did on Creed 3. And so Dune Part 2 moves up 2 weeks and gets a March 1st release date. It was originally, from the date that I moved up, it was March 15th, but it was originally supposed to come out November 3rd, actually, of this year, 2023. That's the 20th right now. Recording late, a day late. Usually record on Sunday, but it's Monday. But anyways, it's supposed to come out November 3rd, and the writer strikes and stuff pushed it back. And so with everything over, now it's on track for a March 1st release date. I brought this up because I just hope that they release Dune in theaters again, the first one. Even if it's like a special screening, I gotta like drive to like a different city or something. I hope they release Dune again, because I saw it when it was super late and I fell asleep. But it wasn't because I disliked it. It was just late and I was tired, and so I fell asleep. And I was always trying to like go back to the movies and go see it again, but I just never did. And Dune is one of those movies you got to experience in theaters. You got to experience in theaters. Like there's just the sound design, the scale of it, the cinematography. It's one of those movies really want to experience in theaters. And so I hope they release it again so I can go watch it and not fall asleep this time. But I'm really excited for Dune 2. If they don't release it in theaters, I'll just rewatch it at home. But I've been strictly not rewatching it at home because I want to see it in theaters again. But yeah, so excited for Dune. So season 3 of Abbot Elementary will premiere on February 7th with an hour-long special episode. So I am pumped about this. I think Abbott Elementary, I don't watch a ton of them, but I think Abbott Elementary is definitely one of the better shows, comedy shows of 2023, or whenever it premiered as well. It's super funny. If you haven't seen Abbott, go check it out. It's like this office, Modern Family, Parks and Recreation vibe to it about teachers and whatnot. It's super funny. So go check that out. It's a really good show. It was like Emmy nominated and whatnot. I think won a lot of awards. Really great people involved. But I'm glad this is coming back, and I'm glad we're getting an hour-long special because I think last week I said, maybe the week before that, there was like some, like they were like shafting the show, like it wasn't going to be as long in the season, and still might not be, but the hour-long special, at least we're getting that. Ayo Edebiri, she's in The Bear, season 2. This is about The Bear. She's in The Bear. Both seasons, she was in the Teenage Mutant Ninja. She's been killing it this year. She's in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. She plays April O'Neil. She was in this movie called The Bottoms with Marshawn Lynch. I really like that movie. She's been just killing it. She's in a couple other things. But she has switched from campaigning as supporting actress to lead actress in a comedy for The Bear season 2. I think this is for, the Emmys? Because I was going to say the Oscars, but that's for movies. So this is for the Emmys. I just brought this up because I think she's a really great actress, and I'm glad that she's leveling up her campaign and to get a better award. I wouldn't say a better award, but because not to discredit supporting actresses, but I mean, it's a lead to supporting. I guess that's upgrading, but it's cool that she's doing that and she's trying to get her flowers. She definitely deserves them. On this week of, I wouldn't even say, okay, let's I was going to say on this week of CEOs being greedy fucks, let's switch it from this week of CEOs being out of touch of reality. So David Zaslav, he's the, I think, chief of Warner Bros., says that the writers were actually right about everything all along, but suggests they're overpaid. They are right about almost everything. So what if we pay them? I've never regretted overpaying for great talent or a great asset. All right, buddy. So what was the whole thing? Like, if they were right all along, like, why couldn't you guys just fork over the money? Like, why do you guys have to, make all these comments about, oh, we're going to hold this out for as long as we can so that, production shut down and people start losing their jobs and whatnot, and make all these fucking just out of touch comments with reality, and I guess they should make me as heated because, of course, this fucking money grub is going back on, like, he just wasn't part of the longest strike in Hollywood, like, and him being a big reason why that is. Like, fuck this guy, bro. Fuck all these guys. Fuck all of them. And then on some more Warner Brother news, them being greedy fucks. So last week I talked about there is a Coyote Vs Acme movie, Looney Tunes, and it was shelved. So basically it was done. It was executive produced by James Gunn. I think John Cena was involved as like a lead, and basically it was Coyote, the Roadrunner Coyote, how they're like battling, he's trying to like kill the Roadrunner. He was taking them to court because none of like the traps worked or whatever, and so it was like a CGI hybrid live action movie, which I think definitely could have been fun. And so it was shelved. It was done being made. It was for around $70 million, which is on the lower end of a movie budget, especially a blockbuster. So it was already on the lower end, and it was basically shelved as a tax write-off for $30 million or so for Warner Bros. And now, from an immense backlash and people and creators, from immense backlash, they are now letting the movie be sold around, so like Netflix or someone else can buy it. I think actually let me pull up the thing. I think yeah, so Amazon Prime, Apple, and Netflix are all interested in potentially buying this movie, and then screenings are being set up for this week. That was the 13th, so I think like last week, screenings are being set up for that. But also, I said this comes from like doing this from intense backlash, and because I was like last week, do other companies like is this a thing that happens? Like, do they just shelve stuff like regularly? Because I just don't really hear about it. But I was like, maybe it's something that's kept more low key, and Warner Bros are just more open about it. Like, I just really didn't know. But apparently, people like creators were reaching out to Warner Bros and like canceling contracts or stopping negotiations because bro, who wants to work for a company that can literally just delete your work? You spend 2 years of your time and it's deleted for a fucking tax write-off and no one can see it. They were copywriting people who were posting behind the scenes stuff on it, not even footage of the movie, just behind the scene camera work or stunts or something. Like, come on, bro. Like, no one wants to work for an anti-art ass company. And so they went back and reversing this decision and, just like fuck these greedy ass companies like that could just think they could just fuck over people. Like I'm using a lot of profanity because it does heat me up. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's just so out of touch and it's just so like what did you think was gonna happen? So the last piece of news before we get into some gaming and then comic news and then finally the review. I've been talking for a minute, but we just been flowing, It's already been fucking almost 2 hours. Jesus. All right. We're gonna try to get this on the way. But so last bit of news, Godzilla -1 is getting good reviews. So this is from Godzilla -1 is I think the newest Godzilla movie that's gonna be coming out. This is by like Toho, so this is like the Japanese side of it and not like the American Monsterverse Monarch 2014 Godzilla versus Kong. This is not them. This is the original people. I don't know if original, but it's the Japanese side of Godzilla, not the American side that's going on right now. But I'm really looking forward to this. There's a movie, so this is from the people who did Shin Godzilla, I'm pretty sure. And Shin Godzilla was amazing. It was like a nice political drama with Godzilla thrown in, and just it's cool. I'm a big fan of Godzilla, so it's a 100. This doesn't mean anything. It's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right now with only 7 reviews. That doesn't mean anything. And then IGN gave it an 8. Again, doesn't mean anything. But I just like, I don't know. Reviews just give me not even. I wouldn't even say a good gauge because it doesn't really even give me a good gauge. But it just gives me at least a base point. Like I wouldn't even say it sets my expectations because it doesn't either. But it just. I mean, I guess in a way, I guess I just said it does. It sets a base point, but it just gives me a idea of what I'm walking into. But IGN reviewed this little part. It says Godzilla -1 is a rousing, spectacle-filled blockbuster that takes the king of the monsters back to his roots in post-World War II Japan. The story is character-driven, but the monster scenes are exciting and effective. And honestly, and I guess the words mean a little bit more than the number rating because this is how exactly I felt with Shin Godzilla, and that was a big reason I liked it a lot. Like it was very character driven, but like the characters were interesting. In the modern Godzilla movies, like the American ones, they'll be like try to be character driven, but I don't give a shit about the characters, so it just kind of like falls flat, and I'm just really waiting for all the monster stuff. But with Shin Godzilla, I really like the characters part of it, and then. Like it says, like the actual monster stuff were exciting and effective, and that's what I felt with Shin Godzilla. So if it's more of that, then I'm very, very excited for this movie. I mean, I was already excited, but like I'm very more pumped. Again, the reviews or anything, like even my reviews, like shit don't mean nothing. Like just go experience the movie for yourself. But for at least for me, it gives me a nice, I guess, like ballpark on what to be expecting. And again, it's not always the case as well. It could be like I could feel widely different or, either the opposite way or whatever the case. But I'm just glad that people are talking about it. So on to the gaming side of things. So the Game Awards, and I thought it would be fun to vote on the podcast. We've been going for a while now, but honestly, fuck it. We're going to rock out. And there's some other gaming news and then one piece of comic book news before I get into reviewing Spider-Man 2, which is going to be a task in itself. But let's just jump into the gaming nominations. So we're just gonna start voting. So for game of the year, also I have to sign in to vote. I think I have an account. Hold on. Let me sign in or whatever. So game of the year, we have Alan Wake 2, did not play. Baldur's Gate 3, did not play. Marvel Spider-Man 2, I did play. Resident Evil 4, I played. Super Mario, wait, I didn't I didn't play Resident Evil 4. I don't know why I said that. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, I did not play. Zelda Tears of Kingdom, I did not play. So out of these 6 games, I only played one. So obviously I said I only played one, which is Marvel Spider-Man. But even though I really did enjoy this game a lot, I definitely don't think it deserves Game of the Year at all. It has a lot of flaws. Just because that's flawed doesn't mean it should not win Game of the Year. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. But from what I've heard about Baldur's Gate 3 and Alan Wake 2 and Zelda, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, either of those definitely deserve to be Game of the Year. So with me only playing one game, and I don't think it deserves to be Game of the Year, even though I liked it a lot, I'm gonna give it to. I want to give it to Baldur's Gate 3, just because the vastness I've heard of it, and just like the choice and how free it lets you play. I really want to give it to Baldur's Gate 3, but also I really like what I saw about Legend of Zelda, and these are games I'm gonna eventually get around to playing. I just need to get a Switch. I just haven't got a Switch yet because I know it's going to eat up all of my time because I want to play the first Breath of the Wild, and then I want to play, obviously, the sequel, Tears of the Kingdom. And but honestly, I'm just going to give it to Baldur's Gate 3. I just really like the vastness and stuff on it. Again, this doesn't mean anything. So yeah, we're going to give it to Baldur's Gate 3. Next category. So there's 31 categories. So that would probably be like my most long-winded one, Game of the Year. So best game direction, awarded for outstanding creative vision, innovation in game direction and design. So the choices are Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, The Legend of Zelda Tears of Kingdom. Innovation. So outstanding creative vision and innovation. So again, the only game I played on there was Spider-Man 2, and I think it yeah. I don't think Spider-Man 2 definitely doesn't do enough. It does definitely have a great creative vision, but I don't think it does innovative. I don't think it really does anything super innovative or super innovative in game direction and design. Like the mission structure is pretty much the same and everything. So again, I'll probably have to, from what I've heard, I'll probably just have to give it to Baldur's Gate 3 to keep it a buck with you. All right. Next category, best narrative. So we have for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game, Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, Final Fantasy 17, I think that is, or 16, is XVI. I think that's 16. And Marvel Spider-Man 2. So I think that's the biggest problem I have with Marvel Spider-Man 2 is the narrative. So that's definitely not going to that. And these other 4 games that I haven't played, I have not gotten to Phantom Liberty yet. I've been holding off on my playthrough because I want to do it on my second channel. But I just been slacking on getting my Spider-Man shit uploaded. I want to give it to Phantom Liberty because I've been hearing some really good things about the narrative. But again, I just didn't play it. I mean, I haven't played these other games either. So I'm going to give it to Phantom Liberty because that's the really only thing I've heard about the narrative. Like, I've heard about Baldur's Gate narrative a little bit, but the mostly everything I've heard about are just like the choices and the freedom and stuff you get from, and not saying the narrative is bad or anything, but I just personally haven't heard. Again, none of this matters because I haven't played any of these games, so don't let my opinion on games I haven't played fucking make you mad. Like, who cares? I haven't played them. Alan Wake 2, I heard, has a very strong story, but I'm just going to give it to Phantom Liberty. Best art direction for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. Ooh, so we have Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Lies of P, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I haven't played any of these games, but I really like what Hi-Fi Rush did and like their mechanics and their art style and stuff. So I'm gonna give it a Hi-Fi Rush for sure. Not for sure, but you know. Best score in music for outstanding music and inclusive score, original song and or licensed soundtrack. So Alan Wake 2 composer Petri Alanko, Baldur's Gate 3 composer Borislav Slavov, Final Fantasy 16-17 Mayoshi Soken, Hi-Fi Rush audio director Suchi Kobari, the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom composed by Nintendo Sound Team. Again, haven't played any of these games, but I'm just gonna give it a Hi-Fi Rush again because that's like the whole premise of Hi-Fi Rush. Like you're literally fighting to a beat type shit. So I really like how that is used and implemented in the gameplay. So gonna give it the Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush. Best audio design. Okay, so we got some good contenders here. Recognize the best in-game audio and sound design. Alan Wake 2, Dead Space, Hi-Fi Rush, Marvel Spider-Man 2, and Resident Evil 4. So this is gonna be a little biased. I did like the Hi-Fi Rush mechanic and stuff, but I didn't like play that game for myself, so I can't like speak on the sound design, like how heavy hitting is and stuff. Dead Space, that is something I really want to get to, but I wanted to save that for a playthrough on my second channel at DS2 Smooth Extended. So honestly, I'm just gonna give it to Spider-Man 2, not because it's the only game I played, but I mean, one, it is the only game I played, but the sound design is actually, I need to add that for when I talk about, the sound design is actually something really good in Spider-Man that I actually like really enjoyed and didn't expect to enjoy, because the sound design in the first two games was like, not whatever, but you know, it wasn't something to write home about. But it really stood out in Spider-Man 2. Like there's a couple moments that I really enjoyed. So I'm gonna vote Spider-Man 2 for that. Best performance. So awarded to an individual voiceover, acting, motion, or performance capture. So we have Ben Starr for Final Fantasy, Cameron Monaghan for Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Idris Elba for Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, Malini Liberd, Alan Wake 2, Neil Newbon, Baldur's Gate 3, and Yuri Lothenthall's Marvel Spider-Man 2. So, for me, it is between Cameron Monaghan and Yuri Lowenthal. Why wasn't Jedi Survivor on Game of the Year? That was a banger, brother. That got snubbed. What the fuck? Anyways, it's gonna go for Spider-Man 2 because, oh man, Yuri Lowenthal, if you don't know, he's the voice actor for Sasuke and Naruto dub. But just his performance he brought throughout the story and with the symbiote and everything, and just I'll be talking about this later as well when I get into reviewing the game. Just the inflection in his voice and the subtleness and the changes from like slight irritation to rage to just like the symbiote just inflecting on or just affecting his mood, and you just felt that in every ounce of his like voice performance. And you really felt when he was like sad and just broken and didn't know what to do, and just when he's pleading for help and whatnot, or whatever the case. It's just, you really felt everything in his performance, and really everyone in the cast did really well. I'm surprised that Miles Morales' voice actor is not here as well either, because he did a really good job too. But yeah, I really love Yuri Lowenthal's performance in Marvel Spider-Man 2, so that's where I'm going with it. Innovation in accessibility, recognizing software and or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. So you have Diablo 4, Forza Motorsport, Hi-Fi Rush, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Mortal Kombat, and Street Fighter 6. Again, I only played one of these games on here, and I'm not gonna say, because there was a lot of accessibility options for Spider-Man. So I'm just honestly just gonna give it to that. Again, like I haven't played the other games, so don't let my opinion on shit I haven't played matter. This games for impact, for a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. So we have these looks like more of indie games. You have A Space for the Unbound, Chance of Sinar, Goodbye Volcano High, Tachia, Terra Nil, and Vinba. I haven't played any of these games, but damn, that probably peaked a lot because it was super close to my mic when I said but. But Tachia, I really like. It's like you can turn into like any like animal or anything on the island. It's like you like possess over them. It's cool. That's the only thing I maybe play like a couple seconds of it. So I'm just gonna give it to Tachia. Again, don't let my fucking shit matter. I haven't played any of those. Best ongoing, awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. Apex Legends, Cyberpunk 2077, Final Fantasy, Fortnite, and Genshin Impact. I'm easily gonna give it to Cyberpunk 2077. I'm making a video on Cyberpunk Edge Runners, the anime from 2077, and just the from launch to now is night and day, like easily. Best community support. Best community support, recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency and responsiveness, inclusive of all social media activity and game updates and patches. So we have Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Destiny 2, Final Fantasy, and No Man's Sky. I would say, because I was gonna say, because it says outstanding community supports, transparency, and responsiveness. I was gonna say, like, for Cyberpunk, they weren't very transparent at the beginning, but after everything came out and, like, you know, they were very transparent in all the things they were updating and when and stuff, and when stuff got delayed and whatnot. And then I think Baldur's Gate 3, I saw some like really cool patch notes, how they were really listening to the community and whatnot. Again, I haven't played the game, but this is just what stuff I was seeing in passing on Twitter and stuff. And then No Man's Sky, I played No Man's Sky. It just, man, is like with Cyberpunk, from when that was released to now, it's literally night and day. But I'm pretty sure No Man's Sky has won this category before. So I'm just gonna give it to. I was gonna give it to either. I'm torn between Cyberpunk and Baldur's Gate, but I'm just gonna say Cyberpunk because that's the one I actually played and felt the impact from that. Best independent game, so best indie game for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system. You have Cocoon, Dave the Diver, Dredge, Sea of Stars, and Viewfinder. So I haven't played any of these, but I'm literally just about to go off these screenshots. Dredge seems like a cool game, so I'm just gonna vote for Dredge. Best debut indie game for best debut game created by a new independent studio. You have Cocoon, Dredge, Pizza Tower, Viniba, Viewfinder. I'm just gonna go with Dredge again. So we're on 13 out of 31. Damn. And this is gonna be a long episode. I think I say that like every week, but this one's actually gonna be a long episode. Best mobile game for best game playable on mobile device. Final Fantasy. I don't play mobile games, so I'm just gonna vote from something random. I'm just gonna vote Monster Hunter. Whatever. Monster Hunter's cool. Best VR AR for the best game experience playable in virtual or augmented reality, irrespective of platform. So you have Gran Turismo, Horizon, Humanity, Resident Evil Village, and Synapse. I don't know. Horizon Call of the Mountain looked cool when I saw gameplay on it, so I'm going for that. Best action game. All right. For the best game in action genre, focused primarily on combat. So we have Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon, Dead Island 2, Ghost Runner, Hi-Fi Rush, Remnant. So I haven't played any of these games, but I've seen gameplay on all of them except Ghost Runner. So sorry, Ghost Runner, you're not in a running for me. Armored Core looks fucking like insane. Like it just it looks cool. And I really like the mechs and everything. Remnant looks like a cool game, and so is Hi-Fi Rush. Dead Island, that honestly was super, super lukewarm looking to me. But I really like it's for right now. It's between Armored Core and Hi-Fi Rush. I really like the concept of Hi-Fi Rush, and like I was talking about the beats and everything. So honestly, that's where I'm going. Hi-Fi Rush. Best action adventure for the best action adventure game combining combat and traversal and puzzle solving. Whoo. So Alan Wake 2, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. So right off the bat, I think Alan Wake 2 is out of there for me. Resident Evil 4 is out of there for me. Alan Wake 2, because like I literally haven't seen any gameplay on that, and then Resident Evil, Yeah, it's cool action. Maybe because I just didn't play it, so it's not. Or I don't know. It just maybe it's like from what, because I've watched some a playthrough. I think RDC. I don't think they finished it, but I watched someone's playthrough. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. It just maybe just didn't impact. Maybe it's like something that when you play, it's more impactful. But it wasn't really grabbing me just watching it. And then Star Wars Jedi Survivor. The they did up the traversal, but I didn't really love the traversal too much. It was like there was mounts and animals, and they were like always like super slow and whatnot. So it's just like kind of like I don't think that game really needed an open world, a big of open worlds that it had. Definitely would have benefited for a smaller scale like this first game. Definitely the hub world still, but more. I don't think there was really a need for them to expand as much as they did. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. So yeah, I think it's just from a traversal stamp. I love the combat in Jedi Survival. I don't really remember the puzzles a whole lot, but just from a traversal standpoint, it's out of the picture for me. It's really up to Legend of Zelda and Spider-Man for me. I think the only thing I think it's gonna go for Spider-Man. I think the puzzle aspect definitely is over for Zelda, is over Spider-Man for sure. But I enjoyed the puzzles that were in Spider-Man for the most part. But then just the combat and the traversal. Again, I haven't played Zelda, but from what I've seen, and not saying even the traversal is bad, and maybe I didn't even see everything. Bro, there's just nothing beating the web swinging and just the web wings and just the new additions that they added to that, and then the combat. It's just, I'll get into it in my review, but that's 10 out of 10 gameplay right there. So definitely Spider-Man. Best RPG for the best game design with rich player character customization progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. Sorry, Baldur's Gate. Wait, including massively multiplayer experience. I just seen Starfield on this, so I was like, that's not a multiplayer game. Neither is Lies of P. I don't know what the fuck. Anyways, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy, Lies of P, Sea of Stars, Starfield. So where's this? Our best RPG. I'm just gonna give it to Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate. Best fighting for the best game designed primarily around head-to-head combat. God of Rock, Mortal Kombat 1, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, Pocket Bravery, Street Fighter 6. I haven't played any of these. Hey, brother. Mortal Kombat 1 has Omni-Man, so gotta give it to them. Best family for the best game appropriate for family play in respective of genre or platform. Sonic Superstars. I'm just gonna give it to Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I haven't played any of these. Best sim strategy: Advance Wars 1 and 2, Reboot Camp, City Skylines, Pikmin 4, Fire Emblem, Company of Heroes. I haven't played anything, but Pikmin are funny to me, so I'm gonna pick Pikmin. Best sports racing game. Fuck all these. 2K better not be up here at all. Good. And neither is Madden. All right, great. So EA Sports FC 24, F1 23, Forza Motorsports, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, Turbocharged, The Crew Motorfest. I'm gonna go give it to Hot Wheels. Fuck it. So we're on 22 of 31. Best multiplayer for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of game and genre platform. So Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Street Fighter 6, Party Animals, Diablo 4, Baldur's Gate 3. I've seen RDC play Party Animals quite a few times, and it's really funny. So I'm gonna give it to Party Animals. Sorry. Zori, best adaptation, recognized for outstanding creative work that faithfully and authentically adapts a video game to another entertainment medium. So we have Castlevania of Nocturne. I didn't finish that, but I'm liking it a lot. Gran Turismo, live action movie, The Last of Us live action show, Super Mario Bros. Movie, and Twisted Metal. I've only seen Castlevania Nocturne on this list, but honestly, it would have been that between that and The Last of Us. So I'm just gonna give it Castlevania Nocturne. Really good show. Definitely, I talked about it before, briefly because I wasn't too far into it. Most anticipated game, recognizing an announced game that has demonstratively illustrated potential to push the gaming medium forward. Final Fantasy Rebirth, Hades 2, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Star Wars Outlaws, Tekken 8. So if Wolverine was on this list, I would click this in a heartbeat. But I think it's gonna be Star Wars Outlaws. Hades 2, I want to get into Hades 1. It's like a roguelike. If you don't know what that is, look into that. But basically, like when you die, you start over, kind of, and it's different mechanics for each one. Like you'll start over and you'll get your you'll keep your progress of your previous run and your upgrades and whatnot. So once you start it over again, you're stronger, and so you'll be able to get farther, and you kind of just redo that. So different like things. Maybe you'll start over and you'll completely start over, and it's about trying to complete the game in one run or whatnot. Once you know new strategies and different routes and stuff like that. So roguelikes I'm just now getting into, and Hades is one I want to visit. But Star Wars Outlaws, I don't know. I'm probably on that list is what I'm most looking forward to. Content Creative of the Year. I don't know any of these people. Cypher, PK, Spreen, Quackity, People Make Games, Iron Mouse. I'm just gonna pick People Make Games since they don't have a fucking profile picture. Best esports coach, like I don't know, brother. I'm probably gonna skip all of this. This guy's bald, so I'm gonna pick him. Oh, I guess we're done. All right, cool. Yeah, so I guess that's the game awards. We're done with that. All right, that was like a unceremoniously, I don't know, an anticlimactic finish. Like I don't know, it was just gaming team stuff at the end. But on to I mentioned fuck, what am I trying to say? Goddamn, that was almost a nice transition. But I mentioned, what word am I looking for? Sorry. Anticipated. There we go. I mentioned anticipated games, and I said if Wolverine was on there, that would have made the list. And so we have some potential release date news about Wolverine, the game made by Insomniac, the guys who made Spider-Man 2 and everything. Really excited about this. So Wolverine is potentially releasing in 2024, according to Insomniac Games concept artists. Damn. Sorry, they I repeated the word. Damn. Am I repeating words right now? I swear I just repeated a word 2 times in a row. But anyways, Hung Nguyen. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. But there's a mention of Wolverine with a 2024 release date on his production list on his ArtStation profile. Earlier reports also stated that Wolverine is eternally targeting a late 2024 release as well. So this game, man, I think I talked about it before, so I'm just trying to keep it brief because I'm pretty sure I've been going for a while now. Hold on, let me check the time. I'll probably keep this. Usually when I say I check the time, I cut it, but I've been going for 2 hours and 26 minutes, and I haven't even gotten to the review yet. So I'm really excited for this. It seems like they're going for the rated M rating. It's going to be linear and not open world, which I want. I like open world games, but sometimes there's no reason for them to be open world. And it's going to be like an M rating, and X-Men Origins Wolverine is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Shitty movie, but great tie-in game. The mechanics, it was just like a hack and slash like God of War, but just like subtle mechanics of, Wolverine can heal himself. So as you're taking damage, as your health gets lower, you're losing pieces of your skin in your body, and you can see your ribs and stuff. And as you're, I think you could slowly regenerate, but you get health orbs. But as your health goes up, you could see your skin and stuff heal back in real time. See your muscles and stuff. It's really cool. But it just had a super fun story, really expanded on the movie story and just X-Men stuff. It's a really fun game, and just how Insomniac handled Spider-Man 2, and I have my problems with it. Just the stuff they included, though, I have extreme faith that they will look back at previous Wolverine games or previous, fan favorite stuff and really make something special with it. So I'm super excited about this game. Whenever it's released, watch my channel because I'll definitely be doing some gameplay on that. Some sad news, bro, that I'm really, really hurt about. The Knights of the Old Republic remake is reportedly dead. Dead. Nah, but for real though, I'm actually kind of really sad about this because Knights of the Old Republic is held as a goated Star Wars game, and I'm pretty sure it was only on PC. Didn't have a PC, still don't have a PC, so never played it growing up, and it was reportedly getting a remake for, I don't know if it was PlayStation exclusive or PlayStation, I think maybe had priority, which was stupid, but they were doing a remake, and it just looks it was my time to play this game because it has very dated mechanics and whatnot, and so this was my time to. And I'm sure when I get a PC, I'll probably go revisit if this game is actually dead. It was my time to revisit this game, especially with like updated mechanics and whatnot, and experience this story that is so held up to a high standard. But just it's reportedly dead because it's been in kind of development hell. It's been just in a blender since 2021. It's got passed between. So first development was being led by Asper Media before Embracer Group shifted the game over to Saber Interactive in 2022. And then also it might have moved away from Saber Interactive since then. And so since that last move from Asper, nothing really has been said about the game besides Sony scrubbing all of. So I talked about this a couple weeks back. Sony like started deleting like trailers and tweets about this game, and there was like some speculations that maybe some licensing issues or stuff, but nope. It seems to be because this game is apparently being frozen. Yeah, so it's not officially announced that they're canceling it, but just it's been in the blender since 2021 and no one's working on it right now. So that is kind of the recipe for a game getting canceled. So, and it's not uncommon for Star Wars games to be canceled. So we'll see. So the last little bit of news before we get into comics and jump into the review, Spider-Man 2 is already the fourth highest selling game of 2023, less than a month after its release. So this is just really impressive. One, it's the fourth highest selling game of 2023 with being a console exclusive. So it didn't release on the Switch, it didn't release on PC, it didn't release on Xbox, only PlayStation. It's already the fourth highest selling game, less than a month. That's just so great. I have my problems with the game, but overall, bro, it was a legendary experience. Like, so it's super cool that everyone's getting their flowers and it's selling out the way that it should sell. So that's great. And so the last bit of news, some comic news before we get into the main topic, is Peter and Miles Morales will have their first ongoing combined comic series ever, titled Spectacular Spider-Man, written by Greg Weisman. So there's this cover that says Spider-Man, and because I'm reading the Ultimate Universe right now, trying to gear up because I wanted to read Miles Morales, and so I was reading like he starts in the Ultimate Universe, but then I was like, damn. He starts in the Ultimate Universe and Peter Parker dies in the Ultimate Universe and then he becomes Spider-Man. But I kind of wanted to get the impact of Peter's journey and him dying to have that kind of hit more when I read Miles' comic. I don't know, just a lore thing. And so I started reading the entire Ultimate Universe just to get caught up on everything Ultimate before I get to Miles Morales' section, because he's at like the later half of the universe, like before it ends and everything. Yeah, so there's a cover that called Spider-Man, but I guess I thought that maybe that's like one issue and that was just a cover. So this is an ongoing. So again, I'm still getting familiar with all the jargon. Ongoing comic is like it's a series, so it's going to be multiple issues, maybe 24 issues, or maybe this will span out into something that goes on like regularly. Like fucking Spider-Man's been his like mainline comics on like issue like 900 or some shit like that. So this could be a 24-part thing or a 24-issue thing, or this can go for a while. But also, why people are really excited about this, besides Peter and Miles getting their first ongoing together, is it's being written by Greg Weisman. Apparently, he's someone that worked on the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon, which is a lot of people like a lot. I was a well way in, and I just kind of like dropped in. I thought it was great. It was just I was just watching other stuff, and I was watching it to make a video on it, and then I decided I wasn't gonna make a video, so I kind of stopped watching it. But then I still really liked it, and I like was gonna rework the video, and I just just working on other stuff, so I just didn't go back to it. But it's a really good show and a really good adaptation of Spider-Man. So I'm really excited about that. There's a couple of Spider-Man comics I'm keeping an eye on. I think it actually dropped, so I need to get on that. Superior Spider-Man is coming back. Is when Doc Ock takes over Peter's body and becomes Spider-Man. So I think that's currently happening right now. There's this comic. There's some Spider-Boy stuff I want to read. New character. And then obviously Miles' current run. So that's gonna be cool. I'm gonna keep out for that. And so now onto our main topic, Spider-Man 2 review. And I'm gonna say, I think I said this. I love this game. I thought it was great, but I definitely have my problems with it, and it comes mainly. I would say I have my problems in the gameplay, but mainly all my problems come from the story. But I'll get into that. But let's talk about the gameplay though. Let's talk about the gameplay, cause brother, to me, the gameplay is damn near 9.5, 10 out of 10. Or it's damn near 10 out of 10. It's for sure 9.5 in my opinion. At least a 9. 9 to 10. Um it's just an improvement in every single way mechanically from the first game. Um I think the only like just the subtle the combos they added. Actually, I plan to do this. I'm about to pull the game up right now. It just the mix ups you can do, and I will say this about the combat, and it's the same thing with the first game and same thing with Miles Morales. You don't necessarily need, hold on. That might be the wrong statement because I was gonna say you don't necessarily need to use like the different combos and stuff in the game to be efficient in combat, or not efficient maybe is the wrong word, but to progress. Like you can literally get by dodging and just using the square button and you'll be fine. But I feel like the new additions to the combat and whatnot really add some great mix-ups and just really gives you the freedom to be flashy with the combat if you want to be. Like there's let me go to the skill tree right now. Just to highlight the moves that they added. Like some combat moves I really like. So there's a you'll before you could do this, so you had to like hold triangle. So now you can, so like you would web them, and if you hold triangle, like you'll take their gun from them, and you'll be able to like to spin it and throw it. But now you just hold triangle, and if you press R1, you'll snap it back to them, and you could do some cool. You can do a lot of cool mix up with that as well. Like you could do it while you're in the air, and that's what I really like about the new moves. Like it's not like you're set to do them at a specific spot. Like there's a move where you hold triangle on them and you like web them, and if you press L2 or R2, you can like swing them back and forth. But if you press L2 and R2, you'll pick them up and slam them. And like you could do that move in the air and whatnot, and that type of stuff is super cool. Like there's like when you uppercut an enemy, now you can hold triangle in the air and you'll swing them over your head and you'll slam them down and they'll bounce back up. Or you can now dodge under people in the air. So like when you're on the ground, you can hit, dodge when someone's shooting at you, and like they'll shoot their homie and you'll continue your combo or whatever. But now you could dodge under them in the air, so when someone's locked on, you can keep your air combos going. And then there's also like with the uppercut thing, instead of holding triangle to swing them around your head to bounce them off the floor, you just jump off of them and bounce them up. So that's super cool. And then there's a swing kick where you swing kick like you regularly do in the other games, and then now if you press triangle, you'll follow that up with a move that hits the enemy higher in the air and does some extra damage. There's my favorite move addition is when you get an enemy on the wall and you rapidly press square, like you'll hit them with these flurry kicks, really just fucking up their guts. Pause. Like that. If that's a man, he's not having kids. Like his nuts are fucking dust. If that's a woman, her fucking uterus is goddamn smushed to smithereens. Like bro, this movie does so much damage. It's just so fun to do. But then also, so those are like the improvements on the combat. There's also a parry mechanic, which definitely adds a depth to the combat and definitely just adds a bit more flavor in. I would say because there's a lot more unblockable moves, so it definitely keeps you on your toes a little bit. I definitely had to like, because it's not in the previous two games, the parry mechanic, so I definitely found myself having to remember that I could parry some of the times in the story. But then with these new additions, they kind of do something in games that I hate, and that's like take away moves that you and then make you unlock them again. Like for instance, in the old games, this was a move you didn't have to unlock. If you web someone up and you hold triangle, you'll swing them around. You can like throw them, right? And if they hit a wall or something, they'll stick to the wall. But now that's something you have to unlock. Which it's not the biggest deal, but it's just like I don't know. It just makes me kind of like because it's not the biggest deal, but it kind of just rubs me the wrong way and just kind of feels like you're just playing with me, like you're just making me go in circles, and I just don't really like that aspect. And there's ways to hide it, like sometimes they'll have you like lose all your memories, or and so like you lost your abilities, or how they did it well in Star Wars, like the Jedi Survivor games. They made it so that you were out of touch. Like the first game, you were out of touch with the Force. So in like basic Star Wars abilities that a Jedi or a Padawan would know how to do, like a Force push or a Force pull or something, or like maybe like a wall run, like you don't know how to do because you're disconnected from the Force. Or something with like God of War 2, I think, is you're just like this overpowered like god at this point. Like you're the God of War now. So you got everything in your arsenal, and then like you get depowered in from like events in the story, and then like now you have to work your way up and get those skills again. And so there's clever ways to do it, and I just think this wasn't one of those clever ways, and it was like annoying. That isn't the only instance. The web up, like in Miles Morales game, you can, so he has his electric venom abilities, and this isn't even said in the maybe it tells you can do it, but maybe I missed it, because I definitely found I could do it by myself. But while you're swinging and stuff, you can use his venom abilities that he uses in combat as traversal methods. Like you can use his venom jump to, if you're like falling low, use it to get some more altitude, or use his venom dash to fly more forward to get some extra like speed or whatnot. And you can already do that, but now it's something you have to unlock, and it's just like kind of annoying. Again, it's not the biggest deal, but I was just talking about the gripes and stuff with the combat. And another thing that I think is a step down from the combat is the gadgets. I think so. The gadgets in Miles Morales, I really didn't like them that much either. I felt like they were way too techy. Like you had a fucking whole hologram and whatnot, and I don't know. It just, you had like this electric mine thing that can incapacitate multiple enemies. And I know that Spider-Man can get techy, but I just don't like the tech in the gadget techs in these last two games. And I think the first game had a perfect middle ground. Like they had a lot of web-based gadgets that made sense for Spider-Man. Like they had a web bomb, they had a web trip mine where if someone walks by, they'll get webbed to a wall. They had a web taser webs, which they had a drone, a spider drone, which is a little high techy but kind of makes a little sense for Spider-Man. They had like impact webs where you're shooting. You have your regular web shooters, you're shooting rapidly, right? And after so it webs them up. But impact web, you have less, and you just shoot one and it sends them flying. And if they hit a wall, like they're instantly webbed up on the wall. So it's like you had these web-based gadgets, but then you also had the high-techy stuff. Like you had a fucking anti-gravity fucking gadget that takes away the gravity and makes people float in the air. And you have these like concussion blasts that sends people flying. So you did have those high-tech gadgets, but then you didn't have to use them if you didn't want to. So it was like, okay, cool. And then Miles Morales, I didn't really use any of his high-tech gadgets. I just used his regular web shooters and venom attacks, because I don't know. I just don't like, and maybe this is a personal gripe, but I just don't like the super high-techy gadgets. And in this game, Spider-Man 2, you get your web shooters, and you get something called an upshot. It shoots out this drone it's a drone that shoots out projectiles that launches people in the air. And it's like something with that, like with Spider-Man, it's like, what? And then they have a web grabber, which is a drone that like webs, you shoot it out and it webs a bunch of people up and webs like different pieces of debris that can hit them, and it webs it all together, which is a little high-techy, but hey, it's web-based, so it makes a little bit more sense. So I'll take that one. And then you have a fucking sonic burst. Like it stuns all enemies around. Again, this is not as far-fetched as maybe the upshot, but it's just like, what the fuck? Like it makes, and this sonic burst, it doesn't start out as a sonic burst. Oh, I forgot. Full spoilers for this game, by the way. Full spoilers. But it makes sense in the story when you upgrade it to the sonic burst to like deal with the symbiotes and stuff. But like as a gadget on its own before, like I don't know, it didn't make sense. But then here's my favorite addition though, the ricochet webs. So like you shoot them at someone and they just ricochet between enemies and like web them up, and it's really fun to use. But so I would say, I guess there's a good balance. So there's 3 web-based and there's 2 high-tech ones. And I don't know, I guess my gripe was, why'd you take away the previous web web gadgets. I feel like if you maybe could have kitted the Spider-Man out differently, like maybe since Miles Morales has the Venom, or not Venom, but the camel, he can turn invisible. Maybe you want to kit Miles out to play more stealth. So you equipped the web trip mine with him, and then you equipped the web trip mine, the impact web, so you can like quickly web people to walls and stuff. So it would have been cool to still have those and just maybe use different ones, or like create different sets of gear. Just strictly web based. Like, I don't know. It would have been cool to have the other ones in, because I felt like they're really good gadgets and additions to the combat, and you could do some really cool things with the impact web while you're in combat. It doesn't have to be in stealth, and same with the trip mine. It doesn't have to be in stealth. Literally, one of my favorite things to do in the first game is to be fighting someone, shoot an impact web at someone, be fighting them, and then you just see like the person, come hit you or something, but the impact web senses something, or the trip mine senses is triggered, and either like they get webbed to a wall right when they're about to hit me, or like they turn and they hit are webbed up to their partner or whatever. So it's like you can have some really fun mix-ups. So it was like kind of disappointing to see them go away. Maybe they didn't fit. Maybe it was too much, like, I don't know, mechanically on the game. Like, it was, because gripe was that the gadgets in like the first game was like, it was an end all be all. Like, you can shoot your impact web out and that's the end of the fight. Like, you don't need to do a whole lot, and they wanted to end like, they didn't want the one-shot weapons to be in the game. But honestly, they keep it a man with you. Some of these are one-shot. Like, the ricochet web, bro, is OP. Use the web grabber, bro, and use the ricochet web, bro. They're toast. Like, so I don't really get that sentiment of, wanting to take away the one-shot weapons. Like, they're still in the game pretty much. But I mean, I guess I get it, but still, it's definitely, I would have loved to still have that variety and option. So I guess that's like my gripe on the combat, because I really think it flows a lot more smooth and everything. So you definitely get that benefit of this new combat. It's like not all bad, and the gripes I do have with it are pretty minor in the grand scheme of things of the combat. And so, that's cool. Let's talk about traversal. Actually, hold on, because I have the game pulled up right now. So I'm just trying to. I think I'm gonna switch to Pete. Pete, where you at, Pete? Wait, so I had a crime on my screen. That's Miles Morales. Okay, and I switched to Peter. Now it's gone. Yeah. So I talked about the combat, the gadgets, what's new. I'm trying to see, because I'm gonna get into the crime and the traversal. So the traversal, brother, another 10 out of 10. Like, when you first experience the web wings for the first time, is during a mission with the Sandman mission. And like the way the story goes, like, you're about to get them and whatnot. But just actually using, damn, I was going way too fast. But actually just using them and seeing that momentum and everything is just so, oh my gosh. Like, this is the game, and I'll make this point later. Actually, I'll just do it now. But this is the game that I wanted when I was a kid. Story problems aside, but just the vastness, the combat, the suits, the web swinging, the web zipping, the web wings, the traversal, the momentum, just everything about this game is what I wanted when I was a kid. And so it's really just hard for me. Not even hard, but it's just, I don't like being so hard in this game. I wish it was perfect. I really do, but it's not, sadly. And that's okay. Like, no game is gonna be a perfect, honestly. That's gonna be a very hard feat to accomplish. And so just this, but the way that you can just the new swinging, how I was talking about, combat additions, just the new swinging moves. Like, you have this if you hold circle and you in the direction you want to go, you have this circle, this move where you can bend corners really fast with your webs, and you just have just so much to accomplish with this combat, and I just love it so much. And I didn't even really, because I was talking about the traversal, so I'll get into the traversal again. just the way that you can just string stuff together and just pop out of a swing and then pop into your web wings and then just go back into a swing and do tricks, and just the smoothness of it is just so beautiful. I just love the traversal so much. And if this game just if it just really delivered on more so on the story, this would have been easily a 10 out of 10, bro. Um so yeah, the traversal is great. The new additions, I just changed my I'll get back to the abilities for a sec, but I'm gonna go to, let me see if there's any more traversals. Oh yeah, so you have the slingshot mechanic where you can press L2 X, and then you'll literally just like web and you'll slingshot and gain crazy momentum. And that's great to, if there's no wind tunnels, because like there's fucking wind tunnels in this game. If when you're web gliding with your web wings, you'll encounter wind tunnels, and that will carry you and at high speeds and get you to your destination faster. And it's so, but if you don't have that available, let's say for instance, I need to get across the river. So I'm a slingshot web, and then I'm a slingshot web, and then go that string that into the web wings, and glide across the river. Like, and you just do that so simple and just so nonchalantly. It's just so fun. And then you have mechanics like the loop-de-loop. Like if you're diving at high speeds and you get your web out, and so then you'll swing. Instead of just like letting go of the web at peak momentum, you'll loop and you'll gain increased momentum. And so that's like super cool. And just, I don't know, bro. Like this reversal, they just really stepped it up, and I just loved every aspect of it. And but on to not on to like I could just get, like I just find times where I'm just like swinging, and it was like that with the first game as well, because it was just so great. But just with everything else that's added in, like the increased like fidelity and like where you can see and stuff, and it just adds so much to the feeling of you feel like Spider-Man. Like that's a meme at this point, but that's just really, it's really how you feel, to be honest. And so yeah, I just love everything about the traversal in this game. I don't know where I was. I kind of just got sidetracked. I was finishing a crime. But I think I was going on back to suit abilities, because I was talking about gadgets, but I didn't touch on suit abilities. Yeah, these were, so this is in the trailers and stuff. He has like, Peter has what am I trying to say? Mechanical arms, like he does in like in the comics, in No Way Home and stuff, or or Infinity, where he gets the Stark suit. So he gets like spider arms, and so you can equip L1, triangle, circle, X, or square an ability, and the abilities are fine. I think they're cool additions. It took me a bit to get used to, because there was just so much UI on the screen that I wasn't used to. With the with the like where your webs are, or yeah, with where your webs are and stuff, and your web, how many gadgets you have and everything. It was kind of like almost unclear at first, because usually it's at right by your top right. So it took me a while to get on that, and like to remember to use my abilities, because I was just so used to not using them. For Peter, with Miles, you use them a little bit more. Obviously, use that like kind of L1 triangle gimmick a little bit more, because his Venom abilities are introduced in this game. But I just had to like really remind myself to remember to use my abilities, especially when it came to Peter and everything. But I really like the additions. I kind of don't like how you can't equip ability. I think I said this in my playthrough. I like this, but I kind of don't like how you can't equip your ability to any slot. Like you only can equip a certain slot to a specific prompt. So like a L1 X prompt ability can't be used on an L1 triangle. So you can't like mix and match them to get what you want. So it's like kind of, I don't know. It's kind of limiting. But yeah, they're cool new additions. And then I didn't really talk about like the skill tree and everything. That's great. I really liked leveling up. I felt like it was pretty meaningful. A lot of sometimes skill trees don't feel really meaningful. They kind of feel like fluff. But I really like the abilities you work towards in this game. Some of them did definitely feel like fluff, but there was definitely some ones that I wanted to grab like immediately and stuff. And so I like that. And then let's see. let's go over bugs really quick. I had quite a few bugs with this game. From my game crashing to my game crashed like at least like 3 or 4 times. Missions got bugged, so I couldn't progress further. Either like a button prompt got bugged, or it just wasn't an enemy disappeared that I was supposed to defeat, or like the last enemy and I couldn't find him or on the map or something. There's definitely quite a bit of problems, like a little visual problems as well with some of the webbing. Like for suit, for I'm trying to make the right example. Like I would have like I think like a during the story like a symbiote equipped suit equipped, but it would still be shooting out like regular webs or something like that. Like there's a lot of game breaking bugs I would say that make you restart the game and my game crash, but there's a lot of minor bugs. And I really feel like this game really wasn't polished a whole lot before release. Like so yeah, there's that to it. But then also so you just get a bunch of those little small bugs, and they could, depending on the person, be a bigger deal. But bugs don't usually bother me too much in games. Obviously, if it's like I literally cannot progress, like after I've restarted the checkpoint and stuff, then I have a bigger problem. But bugs really don't bother me too much in games. But as I'm like, it's something definitely with me reviewing games and stuff now. It definitely is something I need to be more mindful of. So like even if I don't necessarily find a huge problem with it, it's still worth mentioning. And then also with this game not having new game, I would have been replayed this game, and honestly I probably would have got my review out sooner, because what was really like stopping me with this review is I wasn't full on the story aspects of it yet. And if I would have been able to figure that out, I think for sure this would have been out sooner. But point being is this game doesn't have a fucking new game plus mode, which is really becoming standard with a lot of AAA games, and they're like starting not to include them on release, which is like what? Like these are standard mechanics. Is that a mechanic? But these are standard things that like are in AAA games on release, and to not have it just makes little to no sense, and it really just adds to the fact of the game like feeling rushed and whatnot. And we'll get more back into how I feel about the game being rushed in the story, because I think that's the main story problem. But honestly, I forgot. I was like fighting and shit, so I'm swinging around. I forgot exactly what I forgot. Oh, new game plus, and so like that not being added, it just feels so like why? I don't know. And it's just little stuff like that, and then not being able to replay. You can't replay any of the bases that you do. So like on the previous games, like there will be different like bases from like the game story that you've like had to deal with throughout the game and whatnot, and it lets you replay those bases. So do them again, fight some more guys and stuff, because after it's over, like the stuff in the story is really giving you excuse to fight and stuff, and after that you really don't have anything to do. And so replaying those bases was a big thing, and that's not in the game. I'm literally playing the base game right now, and if I was I'm like, besides what I'm doing, which is literally just swinging around going to crime, there's nothing to do. And you can replay the Mysterio stuff, but those aren't like bases. If I could replay the bases right now, I would. And it's just like little stuff like that. It just adds to this game feeling like it was rushed in development. And then the stuff on top of the story really just hammers that feeling home. And then like back with the traversal again, I lost my point. Maybe I should stop playing the game, but I don't feel like it. Like there's little stuff like how you could do charge jumps from being perched, and you don't have to be on the ground necessarily. And it's like little stuff like that really adds to the traversal and like just the feeling of being in control of what you're doing. Yeah, so there's just like a lot of smaller bugs that would have definitely been ironed out if this game had more time to cook. And not even to say that they were necessarily rushed, because maybe they weren't. It was just a creative decision to not add new game plus, but it's just like that. It was in the previous game before. Wait. I think it took some time to add to the first game, but I don't know. But regardless, bro, these are just standard these are standard things that are in games, that in single player games, that are usually incorporated, and it just feels really shitty when they're not, because it just feels like either it's a time thing, so obviously you don't want the workers to be overworked or whatnot. I don't know. It just like, So, and then to speak on crimes, I really like the crimes this time around. That was a big point that I wanted to see improved. Just you were either, it's kind of, it's a single player game. You're gonna get repeats, so that's not the problem that I have. I know that's gonna happen, but I just wish there was more variety in the past games, and the great to say that there is in this. Like, you're saving people, taking them to the hospital. You're stopping fires. You're stopping armed robberies. You're stopping arm deals. You're stopping I said on fire buildings, and then you're stopping shit like. Right now, I'm doing a propane. Like, these guys are setting off this propane truck. I'm not gonna say who. I mean, this is full spoilers, so I guess I could say, but they're part of a cult, and you're stopping that, and so you're just doing different things, and it's fun. One gripe I do have about the crimes, though, they did nerf the. You'll be chasing a hijack car, and you'll it's not hard. You'll go into a QTE, either mass like X or mass like square to stop the car. But you have to like crawl before you do that. You have to crawl around the car and like take out the passengers first before you can take out the driver, because they're trying to like shoot at you and stuff. But they like completely like took away the QTE aspect of that, and like climbing around the car to the web the enemies outside of the car, and they just made it super streamlined and easy. And that's like my only gripe I have with the crime. I really like the new additions. Back to the traversal and stuff. Something that Miles Morales did really well, and I knew they were gonna bring to Peter, is like when you're doing tricks and shit, and like you're swinging out of the trick move, it just feels so organic and natural. So that's they added that with Peter, and I just really love that in the Miles Morales game, and I'm glad it got translated to Peter Parker, Mr. OG, Triple OG. So that's great. And then I was saying, oh yeah, so the crimes are cool, and then the puzzles. I said this a little bit during the game awards and stuff, but the puzzles in the game, they were cool for the most part. There's like, in the first game, they were kind of annoying a little bit. I wouldn't even say yeah, some are annoying in this, but I feel like there's just a lot more greater variety. I found myself enjoying doing them a lot more than I did in the previous games. Like there's this one side mission with a spray paint mini game that I found pretty fun. There was some chemistry like missions and whatnot, and some drone missions, mini missions and stuff. So I like the puzzles for the most part. I don't think it's the strongest thing I'm about to say. For sure not the strongest thing. What the fuck? I'm not playing Spider-Man to do puzzles. So again, it's not like the biggest thing if it wasn't approved, but I just like that there was an improvement on that. Like, oh my gosh, just like the vastness of this, and then just the momentum. Like, I'm in Queens right now, and there's not as tall buildings, so I have to use my web wings and stuff. So I can't like web swing around everywhere around here and stuff. And so it's just cool just flying through the city, man. I said that so like reminiscing, like I miss this, man. Like I need this, man. I need it. I just did some filthy shit. Wow, that was amazing. I wish I was recording, but wow, that was cool. But yeah, so what I say, the puzzles, and so the collectibles. So you have like stuff like, I guess that goes into, hold on. That kind of goes into the side missions and story. But last thing I will say, though, the sound design for this game, or for gameplay, though, I'm gonna get into the story. The sound design, bro, I love this sound design in this game. I think in one of my playthroughs I have like a gripe with the sound design, but with one specific like moment or something. But overall, bro, the sound design in this game is amazing. Hold on, I only need 10 left. Because there's a Spider-Verse mission in this game, and I only need 10 more Spider-Verse bots to do that mission, or complete that side mission. But yeah, the sound design just when you go in the symbiote and you get in that surge mode and you hear those impact of those punches and um during section of the story, like sound would be like tweaked and enhanced, and it just sounded super cool. Like there was this moment when Scorpion was being transported from the raft, and it was like your first like introduction to seeing the character again, and like they like did some like reverb on his like footsteps or something, and it was like just super cool and just like really elevated the moment. And like there's a bunch of stuff like that, and like the music, man, I wish I could remember some of the tracks right now, but just the score, and I gotta look up who did the score for this game, but just I loved it. I loved it. The sound design, the score, the music, it was all really good in this game. And it's something I really don't remember, not to say that it was bad or anything, but it's something I really don't remember standing out a whole lot in the first game. Um yeah, it was just like it was kind of like there. Again, not to say it was bad, but I just didn't really notice it a lot in the first game. But finally we're getting on to the story. And so this is where my most of my problems come from. And this is going to be kind of hard to articulate because I don't I wish I would have played through the game again, but I'm really just holding off on a new until New Game Plus comes back for me to replay this game, because like I don't want to. Eventually I will, but it's just like I want to have all the suits and my abilities and stuff, and so I think New Game Plus is supposed to be coming at the end of this year or maybe early next year. So gotta wait on that. So my main problem with the story was I just feel like it was too short. It just didn't have enough time to cook. So the beginning, I have multiple problems with the story, but this is, I guess I wouldn't even say my main one. But one of the problems was like Peter didn't have enough time with the symbiote. I feel like besides MJ and maybe Harry, and granted those are the most two of the most important people to the story. It really didn't have a big impact on. We get glimpses, but it just didn't really fully sell me that, because there are instances in the story, but I would have just liked to see the ramifications of having the symbiote a little bit more. Because you get the stuff with MJ, and that's obviously important, like him like, disrespecting her and everything that goes on with that. But I just wish I would have seen more impact it had, like on Miles as well. I feel like there wasn't a whole lot of interaction with Miles in the symbiote. So when Miles finally rips it off of Peter, it just doesn't hit that hard. Like you get a line from Miles that says like come on, bro. Like when he's like getting the suit off, it's like, you don't even return my calls anymore. And in the story that happens, but when it happens though, it just feels like so minuscule. Like it doesn't, like it's so Peter, he does stuff in the story where it's like obviously influenced by the symbiote. And then but when he that instance when I'm talking about like, oh, you don't even pick up my calls, when that happened, it wasn't like Peter's inner dialogue was like, forget Miles right now, like I'm on something more important. It was like he was busy with something. And I could be wrong about this. Again, it's like I wish I would have played the story again, but it, like, from Peter's perspective, it was nothing to do with the symbiote. I think he was like literally just busy or something. So it's like when Miles says that, it's like, what? Okay, like he didn't answer your phone calls. Cool. Like I wish we just would have saw him be more of a. I don't want to. Of course, I don't want to see this, but I wish we got more. I wish we saw Peter be more of a dick to Miles, and so we saw that the symbiote impact that it had on like their relationship. You really didn't get. You get more so of, and again, it's Peter's story, but I feel like Miles is a big part of it. Like you really only get his impact that it has on Harry and MJ. And then like you get some slight instances of him being, not even slight, you get instances of him being more aggressive and stuff in combat into his enemies and whatnot. But I just wish we just saw more in that, and it just cooked a little longer with Peter with the symbiote, and it would have made him, like Miles, getting it off of him really hit a lot harder than it did, in my opinion. What's it called? So I wish we got a little bit more of that. And then also with the escalation of the symbiote in the story, I just felt like playing the events themselves was amazing. That was so like just fun, just the way this shit escalates and like the set pieces you're experiencing and stuff. That's amazing. But just the way, I don't know, just Venom going to Harry was cool. I like that whole progression where it was like Peter wasn't necessarily he wasn't necessarily keeping the suit away from Harry. It just was very circumstantial, just like the way the events were happening. I feel like the way that developed was very organic and worked really well. And just like Harry's kind of disdain for Peter for, what's it called? Keeping the symbiote to himself for so long and not like, I'm kind of just chatting right now, but what am I trying to say? And just the way, like, the desperateness, by the time he got the suit and turned into Venom, you felt that, at least I did, you felt like why and how, well, you felt like how fragile his mind was, and you felt like how easy it was for, the symbiote to convince him to do shit that wasn't, on his heart necessarily. I really like how that developed between them. But I just wish we got Venom with the suit longer. Like, this game honestly would have benefited from being like, I don't know if this is OD, but at least like 10 hours longer. Like, the story itself is, if you blitz the story without really of the side shit, it's only like 15, 20 hours. And I definitely would have benefited from being at least like 10 more hours. I don't know. Maybe that's like a too high, but it just needed more time to cook in those two areas, because I feel like the first part of this game is pretty strong. And then like when you get the symbiote and shit, it kind of like devolves weaker and it just goes too fast paced. And then also I wish Miles's narrative, and before fucking anyone gets on my head, I know it is connected. You get the stuff with Mr. Negative and how he helps with Peter and the anti Venom suit and stuff. But I wish Peter's story and Miles' story was a little bit more interconnected, and I kind of said this earlier, but just help Peter deal with the symbiote a lot more, and their storylines didn't feel so disjointed and stuff. And again, I would have benefited from playing this again, and maybe on a second playthrough it feels less disjointed, and maybe it felt disjointed to me because I was doing a lot of the side stuff, and their side shit is pretty unrelated, and so maybe the main story connects a lot better, but mixed in with the breaks of doing the side stuff, you really just don't feel like their narratives are really connected. So I just wish they were just connected a little bit more, in my opinion. But it does make sense in like how it, Mr. Negative and stuff, how he comes around. I like all that stuff with Miles. I just wish the stories of the two Spider-Mans just gelled together a lot better. And then also with the story, I feel like the open world I feel like the story is at war with the open world. And peep, when I say this though, like, just stuff in the story, this is a prime example, bro. When Miles helps you get the symbiote off, so after that, you have the symbiote strapped to your back in an Oscorp container. You got to go take it back to Oscorp, right? After that happens, Miles, you got the shit on your back. Peter says, he's like, the city, I've been neglecting the city for a little bit. Let me see what's up with the city. Bro, you have an alien symbiote strapped to your fucking back. If the game doesn't make you go get that to Oscorp like immediately, like, it literally just lets you free roam with Venom on your back. It's just like a funny like choice. And then you get stuff like that, which is like, okay. And then you get stuff like the symbiote, the story, or in the later half of the story, with the symbiotes taking over fucking New York and shit, you can still do Miles' side missions, and like Miles' side missions, they're an improvement for sure, but they're pretty like simple and friendly. Like, you're helping your classmates of your school and stuff, and like you could do you're over here trying to retrieve fucking instruments for your mom's museum while the city's being infected by symbiotes. And so it's like, it just feels like at points the game is just at war with the open world. It doesn't really know how to handle it. And I'm really trying to hammer this point home. Also, I don't know, I hope that point made sense, because there's like more examples And I probably should have been better while I was playing the game at pointing these examples, writing these examples down, so I'll have them for my review. But I know that going forward now, there's just little stuff like that where it feels like damn. And then like also you have like Danica's podcast. She like is damn near omnipotent. Like she before even the black suit is like on the scene doing fucking fuck shit. She's already saying like, this black suit's kind of sussy. And I guess like you would already get that from like his bright colors to a black suit, but we really haven't even done anything to be sussy. And like shit that's like not even public to like the not public to the general, not made aware to the general public, she would know. And it's like, what the fuck? How did she even know that? And it just felt like she was there less organically than she was in the previous game. She just kind of felt there to narrate the story. And that's like how I know how their roles in the podcast worked in the last games, but it felt like they were more, like I said, organic, I guess, but it just felt like super forced in this game. And which sucked because I liked listening to Danica's podcast and Miles Morales' game, but I just found myself wanting to listen to Jonah more. He felt more of a character and not like a narrative tool. And then also, so it just feels like the game is at war with the open world. Sometimes it really doesn't know what to do with itself. And a lot of times during the story, I couldn't tell if I was still in a mission or if I was free to be in the open world and whatnot. So it felt like in a way, and I wouldn't want this, but this specific story that they were telling would have benefited from a lot more linear structure, or at least the way they told it. Like I feel like they definitely could have incorporated the open world elements a lot more better compared to the story. And there are instances like there are dialogue changes when you have the black suit on and you do a side missions. There's small instances, but it's nothing like significant. Yeah, so it just felt like this specific story or the way they told it would have felt like it would have benefited from having a more linear structure, like not open world and maybe like just set pieces or whatnot. What else? Oh yeah. And then I didn't even talk about when I was talking about the traversal, the swing assistance. Like that is a big thing. So people's gripes with the last games were like the swinging was too easy. Like so there would be a magnetic barrier on the floor. Like unless you really tried, you could not touch the ground while you were web swinging. So and now they did it so there's levels of swing assistance. So there's level 10 is the normal, and then you can go all the way to 0, where there's no magnetic barrier on the ground. If you swing too close to the ground, brother, you're hitting that ground. You're hitting a car, you're hitting a van, you're hitting a tree. Like you gotta really time it. And I was on a swing assistance one for most of the game, and then I switched to 0 for like the last like quarter of the game. And I really loved it really is a great feeling when you get 0 swing assistance down and you're just swinging so close to the ground, and you know that if you fucked up you would be hitting the ground. It's just a really good feeling. And then the fall damage, they added fall damage, which is a great addition. It was in other Spider-Man games like Ultimate Spider-Man, but then it just was missing in a lot of other Spider-Man games. But they added a optional option to turn it on or off, and I feel like it adds I've probably only died off of it like once, and I was doing like I was practicing the loop-de-loop thing, so it's cool. I wish that there was damage for when you're using your web wings and you run into something. Like if you're maybe not holding R2 to wall run, like you'll just smack into it. Like if you're web gliding to something, and you don't even press like R2 or anything, you're like smacking a wall, he'll just automatically start running up it, or he'll just like stop and like stick to it or whatever. So I wish there was like some fall damage to that. Speaking of fall damage and stuff, I love this. I love that they added suit damage so much, bro. I love seeing Spider-Man's costume tattered up. He has probably like one of the best costumes when it's damaged. He has one of the best costumes in general, but it looks so fire when it's damaged. So then they added suit damage to basically all the suits in the game, and they look so good. And that was like one of the biggest things I wanted in this game, because Amazing Spider-Man, those games are pretty, but the first one's fine. But they have amazing suit damage. Like, you'll literally be tattered to fucking pieces, and it just looks so good. And just adds, I don't know, adds like a little more, what is the word? Liveliness to the combat. So that's great. And then I didn't even really speak about it, but I love, oh, I guess I'll speak about it now. The side characters and the villains. Bro, speaking of like the villains, playing as Venom, bro, I almost cried, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. Ultimate Spider-Man is, before this game, or before like this the newer installments, but Ultimate Spider-Man and Web of Shadows and shit, those were like my favorite Spider-Man games of all time. Of all time. So we get this game dealing with the symbiote, which Web of Shadows does. And then you get being able to play as Venom in this game, like in Ultimate Spider-Man, was fucking amazing, bro. I literally almost cried. Just this game just takes a lot of the elements from a lot of Spider-Man games that I love and just does justice to them. Like the whole symbiote, how I said it was a little rushed, yes, but that's fucking all of Amazing Spider-Man Web of Shadows. Basically, it works better in that game because it has more time to develop. And you slowly see the city go into turmoil, and that's why I was like, damn, I wish we would have got more time for this story to cook a little bit and see that. But that is literally one of my favorite just games of ever. And so this game just really takes a lot of elements from those games and really implements them. And playing as Venom, bro, was so surreal. It's just, when he did the back snap straight out of, it's a little, the animation's a little different, but it's just straight out of Ultimate Spider-Man, bro. It just transported me to like being a little kid again, bro. It was just such a fun moment. And I really like, I'm like being kind of harsh on this game, probably because I like it a lot, but it's just moments like that where it's just like, this is an all-timer for me. Like, no matter what I say about the story and whatnot, just the mechanics and just the things this game is able to let you do, just, I love it. But sorry, I just had to gush about Venom because I didn't even talk about that section, and it was pretty fucking great. But yeah, all the side characters I think were pretty strong, and all the side missions were, like I said, a way improvement on what they were before. So like, I like how they all, like all the Marco's memories, where that led to, I like how that wrapped up. And you get, how does that, and I know, like, I'm trying to like think, oh well, Marco, he gets his memory, he's not like crazy anymore. And I don't know if that's what I'm trying to remember. Does he like leave prison or get his daughter back or something? But I just really like how that like tied into that. And then same with the Mysterio missions with Miles. They felt like they were just like standard combat missions. You got an objective, and then you don't get hit or defeat this amount of many enemies in this time. I thought it was just gonna be that, but then it leads into something that is actually pretty fun, and like something with Mysterio, and leads into something. So I really like how these, and then same with the flame missions with Yuri and stuff, how that leads into Carnage and whatnot. I really just like how these side missions like wrapped up and had finales. It was definitely a big step up from the previous two games, and even like the smaller side missions of, just helping out on everything, and like that mission with Howard and the pigeon guy, and then you get Miles helping his mom with city council and trying to get the instruments back and whatnot, and then you get Miles helping out his school, and you get Peter helping out the Emily May Foundation. And I just think the side missions this time around were a lot more stronger than, like, you get side missions that give glimpses into Peter's past and whatnot, and you play as like kid Peter and his first photo for the Daily Bugle look like, and stuff like that. And it just really added a lot more substance to the story, and by the end of it, I think really I was gonna say elevated the story. But see, the thing is, the side missions in Miles Morales I would have liked more variety, but the way that they not necessarily ended, but they fed into the main story. So like Miles Morales' side missions, you're basically just helping out people in your community. But by the end of it, the end of the story, like your community comes to help you, right? And if you didn't do the side missions, it would have still been a nice moment. But if you do the side missions, you understand those relationships, and you saw those, you built those relationships, so it just hits a lot harder if you do those side missions. And I wish kind of some of those side missions fed into the main story, like in this game. Not necessarily in the same way, because we just literally got that, but I wish they would have been more in line with the main story. And I guess they kind of were, like with Carnage, and like he gets the symbiote because fucking the Venom symbiote's a thing. I just wish they were a little bit more to do with the story, but it's fine because I really like them because they were improvements overall. So it's not like the hugest deal. And I really like speaking of like the side stuff, I really like all the villains that were included. We get Kraven, we get Mysterio, we don't fight them, but we get Carnage. We're more specifically, we get Cletus Cassidy. Who's else? Who else? Oh, we get Sandman, and I'm just trying to think of all the villains. We have like inclusions of Tombstone and stuff, and necessarily like you're not fighting Tombstone, but I just really that was a really aspect I really liked about the story. I really like how the villains some of his villains were being reformed, and how you got to spend time with them and see that how that developed, like stuff with like Tombstone, like working at the carnival and stuff, and seeing Mysterio, like if he is this man is he just doing his standard Mysterio stuff, or is he actually up to snuff, So it was just cool seeing how like his villains reformed, and how Peter gave them the opportunity to do that, and how that all worked out. But let's see, voice acting, I kind of went over that. Everyone did a very good job. I said this during the Game Awards, but if you just skip to this part, I really loved Yuri Lowenthal's. He really brought it. He brought his A game with this. You really felt his desperation when he wanted you to feel it. You really felt the irritation that turned into aggression, that turned into rage. Like you really felt that progression, and it was just really cool. Everyone did a great job. Just Yuri Lowenthal he's definitely the standout, and obviously he probably had more to work with the dynamic he was having to, all the dynamics he had to balance with his character. So he had kind of a bit more to work with compared to someone else. But even MJ got some, her voice. Sorry, I don't know the voice actor's name, but the voice actor for MJ, when she turns into Scream and stuff. Oh, and I didn't even mention that. I really like that addition to the MJ being Scream. I don't know who Scream is in the comics, but it was really cool seeing MJ be Scream and have her play like a bigger role. I guess I should mention that too. The MJ missions in this game are way, way improved than the first game. So you would have to do these Mary Jane's missions in the first game, and you would literally they would be so fucking boring. Like, bro, I'm literally you made me stop playing as Spider-Man to play as MJ to sneak around. Come on, brother. Like, they were just very it put a grinding halt in the gameplay. But this time around, MJ like has a stun gun. Her stealth is a lot more aggressive compared to the first game, so it's a lot more enjoyable. I really liked it a lot. I like those sections. And it was cool as her getting a bigger role in the story, and more of it literally getting powers at one point, even though she is fighting against Peter. That fight was like super crazy too. She's like calling Peter broken, because like obviously the symbiote is enhancing all of your aggression and making you say stuff you don't want to say, and so she's over here calling Peter broken shit and how he can't pay the bills, and really just cutting into him, to be honest. And it's just like, damn, son, like she did not need to violate buddy like that. I don't know, but I really like all the villains and the side characters and everything. I think I was talking about MJ's gameplay, I think maybe. Yeah, so overall though, I would have to rate this game, because I think that's pretty much hits it. And if I remember anything else, I'll just say it next week. But I think that hits it. My overall rating, I would say for this game is an 8. The story really holds it back for me. There's elements in the story that I love completely, just the set pieces and stuff like that. Just the pacing and just the overall connectedness of the story and just how it flows. It just really doesn't hit for me. So yeah, that's a problem for me, and I really fucks with the rating. But everything else, I really feel like it is an improvement because this game. So my overall, I say that to say this, my overall rating is probably a 8, and gameplay wise is 9 to a 10. And I think just from a pure enjoyment standpoint, if I was just not being objective about this, was subjective the right word? And just from my just being a Spider-Man fan, he's my favorite super of all time. Just the feelings I said I had towards this game, like as a youth, like this is the exact game I wanted when I was a kid. Like just to swing around like this, to fight like this, to just the traversal, to use these powers, to experience these villains, to play as Venom, to fight fucking giant Sandman throughout the city, while I chase Lizard and fight Kraven as Venom and bite his head off, and fucking play as Peter in the black suit, and I'm sneaking around like drugging tigers and shit. Like there's just too much to love about this story. From a pure enjoyment perspective, this is easily a 10 out of 10. Easily. Just, but like, you know, being objectively and trying to be, this review doesn't matter, like it's a fucking month after the game, but you know, just to have some, I guess, like credibility. That's not even the right word either, because I honestly don't care about that, but just, I don't know, to say the real type shit and not just be blinded by, you know, my personal bias. And that does happen with me sometimes with some movies or some other things, but you know, I try to be as objective as possible, or at least recognize both sides of that if I can't be objective, and to recognize that. And yeah, so I just think this game's a 10 out of 10 subjectively from my own enjoyment, but I think it's a definitely like a 8. I was gonna 7.5, but there's just too much, like the graphics and everything. It's definitely an 8 for sure. With the story really the only thing holding it back, to keep it a band with you. But yeah, so let's, I guess, talk about the possible future, maybe. So at the end of this game, Peter says he's taking a break. A lot of people were bitching and moaning about this, which I don't know why. Peter has taken mini breaks before, and he's always pretty much, you know, bounced back. I'm honestly was just chatting right there to keep it a band with you. I was focused on the game, but yeah. So at the end of the game, he retires, and so Insomniac has come out to say that Miles Morales will be the main Spider-Man going forward in these games. And so what I expect that we get after this game. I'll talk about possible DLC in a second, but after this game, you know, after all the DLC, I expect we get maybe another standalone Miles Morales game, but like in the mainline Spider-Man. So it's not like a spin-off. It's actually a main title, and it has Miles, or maybe we will get another slight spin-off with Miles Morales, but it'll just be Spider-Man and not Miles Morales Spider-Man. And then we'll have a game where, because it's setting up right now, either possibly it could be setting up Superior Spider-Man, or it could be setting up, it's definitely setting up some with the Green Goblin, whether that's going to be Harry or Norman remains to be seen, I feel like. Because I feel like it can go really either way right now. So it's definitely Peter's coming back to at some point for whatever reason, either to deal with Goblin Harry, either to deal, and also so I'll get back to Superior Spider-Man in a minute, because it ends with Doc Ock, and he's talking about like his old body and shit and how it's like failing him or something, and that's like the kind of like how Superior Spider-Man starts, like, you know, he goes in, but a interesting wrinkle I saw in that. But what if instead of stealing Peter's body like he does in the comics, and since, like, you know, Miles is the mainline Spider-Man, now he steals Miles Morales' body instead. And you would have to, we kind of just did do that, like, a hero's he's acting different because, you know, he's negative influence or whatnot, or body switch, whatever. Alien symbiote, we kind of got the same thing, but I feel like that could be something really fun with Doc Ock and Miles Morales' body, and then, you know, Peter trying to decipher what's happening and whatnot, and like figure that out would be really cool for like. And then you throw Goblin in the mix and whatnot for Spider-Man's, for when he comes back as Spider-Man, because we know he's coming back. So that's what I think is gonna happen. We're gonna like another Miles Morales spinoff, then a final game with Peter, either him officially retiring or dying at the end, because that's how he is. That's how Miles Morales becomes Spider-Man in his his original universe and stuff. In the Ultimate Universe, Peter dies first, and then he becomes Spider-Man. So I've been waiting for, not that I wanted to. Every time Spider-Man dies in like any alternate universe, it makes me a little sad. Not gonna lie, I just hate seeing Spider-Man die. I don't know. And so I just been expecting Spider-Man to die in the story for a while, or Peter Parker specifically. So that's how I kind of think his story will end. He's gonna die, a sacrificial play or some shit against Norman or something. Yeah, I really don't know, because this game also sets up quite a few villains. It sets up Carnage. It sets up Chameleon. He's Craven's brother in this. I don't know if he's Craven's brother in the comics, but Chameleon's one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. He's like in the 90 cartoons and stuff, and I just feel like he's not really utilized a whole lot. I really like him as a villain. He's super fun to me. And so they set him up, so I'm really excited to see what they do with that. So that's a potential villain. So we got Green Goblin, potentially Doc Ock, Superior Spider-Man, maybe just Doc Ock returning, not necessarily Superior Spider-Man. We got Cletus Cassidy as Carnage, and then we got the Chameleon, and there may have been some other villains I just either blanking on or didn't see being set up. So we got that. And then for DLC for this game, so we were able to play as Venom. So someone working on the game said there could be, depending on fan reception on a certain character being played. This was like kind of before the game, maybe when the game just came out, so he wasn't trying to spoil that Venom was playable, but he was like, maybe the reception on Venom, we'll see if there will be DLC. So there could be possibly some Venom DLC, which I would be looking forward to a lot. I really like playing as him. And then you could do something now with Carnage. But hold on, is the Venom symbiote, didn't it die? I don't know if it died. I think it low-key died. I mean, again, they could not again, but they could retcon that easily if it did actually fucking die. So they could definitely retcon that easily. I don't think that's a word, Dennis. But hold on. One thing I really like though. Okay, whatever. So, cause yeah, I don't know. I think the Venom, cause when I kind of want to say like when he got it off Harry, it like shriveled up and died. So I could be wrong. I'm not too sure. So maybe possible Venom DLC, which I would be looking forward to a lot. And then there's been some speculation with the Hand, and so that's Daredevil's like villain group that he fights and shit. Some speculation with that, some DLC with that. We can get some more Yuri DLC, some more Black Cat DLC, because she was pretty absent from the story. Besides her initial debut or help in the beginning. Let me see. Yeah, so I set up the Chameleon. You can get something with the Chameleon. Maybe they do something with that in DLC, or if they're saving that for the third game or whatever game they put that in. I'm trying to think of some other DLC options. But yeah, the first game, the DLC was fine for the first game. It honestly... It just felt like I just wanted an excuse to play the game and new content for the game. So that's all I cared about, to be honest. So whatever the DLC is for this game, it's just going to be more excuse to play this game and more content to experience this game with. So honestly, I don't give a shite. But yeah, so hopefully this game does get DLC. But I gave my overall rating 8. 10 out of 10 for enjoyment purposes, but overall rating at 8. 9 to 10 out of 10 gameplay, and then the story's like I would say a 6.57 story, and so that kind of just takes the rating down for me. But overall, I really enjoyed the game though. So, but that's pretty much it on the review. We're about to be going for 4 hours. Oh my Jesus. Yeah. But now let's get into my weekly watch list before we get into Pondering My Orb to wrap this up. This week, I was watching Pluto. I think I mentioned it before, but I got a little bit farther on it. Sorry, I'm stretching if that's why I sound weird. But I got a little bit more farther on it, and I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot deeper than I thought. Like, it's a thinking show more than I thought. I thought really is just going to be robots throwing hands. And so I think I mentioned this, or if I didn't. So this is because I was like, that looks like Astro Boy, but I don't know anything about Astro Boy, so I didn't know for sure. But apparently, this is the guy who made Monsters. This manga anime. It's really good. I tried to read it, but I wasn't really too captivated by the manga. And then someone told me to watch it instead, so I'm gonna try to watch it. But apparently it's really good. And so this is his take on Astro Boy, and it's just really deep, and it's about like how AI advanced robots fit into society, and like they have like wives and stuff and work jobs, and how they experience how they experience and understand human emotion, if they actually feel it, if they are just emulating it and whatnot. And so it's just really deeper than I thought. If you like anime, the art style is really cool. The animation is really good. The voice acting is great. It's really good anime. So I definitely suggest checking that out. And I think I mentioned it as well. I was excited for Monarch's Legacy Godzilla like show, MonsterVerse show, and I just didn't have time to tap into it. So that's something that I want to get into this week. I guess that's something for what I want to watch this week, and not necessarily what I watched last week. But so yeah, I want to get into that show. And I was actually reading a lot of comics this week. I finished whatever they have on Marvel Unlimited. I got up to Moon Knight's, got up to date on his current run. I'm really enjoying that. I love the art style on that. Who's that? Where's my phone? Let me pull up who. Let me pull up who is in charge of who's writing that run, because I really like it a lot, and I feel like it does a lot of cool things with Moon Knight's character and the origins and whatnot. Yeah, so that's 26 issues. It's written by damn, who's it written by? It's telling me. Okay, Jed McKay. Sorry. And Jonathan Hickman. So I'm really liking that run so far. It does a lot of interesting things with Moon Knight as a character, especially with like all his continuity and stuff. I feel like it's handling that really well. And then also on the music side of things, or actually on the comic side of things still, I've been reading a lot of Wolverine comics. I've been trying to, I don't know, I just got like an urge to dive into his character and just read all his material. So I started with Wolverine the Origins, and it's like, so for a while Wolverine in the comics, he didn't have an origin. He was just kind of who he was and what he did, and like, you know, he and obviously there's some changes here and there, like he went from having like enhancements to his like in his arms to make him have claws, to like, you know, that being a part of him, and then him having an adamantium skeleton and shit. So that like his origin has slowly been like tweaked and stuff, but then this was like the first time that dove into his like origins and like where he comes from and everything. And I feel like there's good elements to it, but it tries too hard to hammer home that like, damn, this is how Wolverine who he is. Like there's like this guy he meets in the comic and he basically steals his whole flow. Like he says bub like him and he smokes a cigar. Like he gets all that from him. And it was like kind of like they're trying a little bit too hard to like, it's not just something like he develops, and in the way that his personality develops, it kind of like it I don't know, it just tries too hard to get Wolverine to where he, and it's weird I'm saying this because it's an origin, but it just hammers home those points in his face and doesn't really leave anything to be, I don't know, speculated. I just can't really, it just really didn't land a whole lot for me. But and I started reading the Origins like 2 or something like that, where it's just like I'm liking this a lot more. The Origins, the first one, that was only like 6 issues. This is like 50 or something. So I'm really liking this one a whole lot more because it's really diving in like some of the fucked up shit Wolverine does. Like this man, and obviously they say it in the movies and stuff, and they kind of say it in the shows and everything, but they don't show you that like Wolverine was a fucked up person. Even in X-Men Origins, where like they have them invading and killing people, like he's still on like the morally good side of that. Like I think someone's about to kill civilians and he like tells them not to or stuff, and it's like little stuff like that. And he does do stuff like that in the comics, like he does have a heart, but he was doing some fucked up shit early on, and he was used as a weapon and a tool, and they really show that, and I really liking that a lot. Like he destroyed a lot of people's lives, like set a lot of people up to be monsters and like to turn them into monsters, and really like psychologically played with them and stuff like that. So it's just really cool to see. And I just have a bunch of Wolverine material that I've collected from the Marvel Unlimited app that I'm just gonna dive into, really continue diving into this week and stuff. And so that's cool. And I just been really trying to think about how I want to talk about comics, like if I want to talk about them maybe on here, because I just did that and that was pretty fun. If I want to make videos on them, maybe like if I read something that really like just grips me, I'll make a video on it. Or like something like with the Ultimate Universe, how I'm reading through that right now, maybe I'll make videos on that. But like with smaller stuff like this that, you know, I'm just like kind of enjoying and not like super moved by it, maybe I'll just dedicate a segment to this and just talk about it, and just like make notes or whatever. I don't know. I just want to talk about comics in some way. But on the music side of things, I discovered another Detroit artist. No surprise here. One Up T. He has like this Good Karma freestyle that I saw. That's what it's called. You look it up on Spotify. One Up T, Good Karma. He was speaking a lot of real stuff. One of like the like hooks of it. He said, "Ho shit get praised, real shit get overlooked often." But he's just spitting a lot of good shit in that song, and definitely check it out if you like rap music and Detroit rap music. But if you also just want to hear a little bit of substance in there, but yeah, so like, and then so that's pretty much it on my weekly watch list. And I think I said like I want to get into the Godzilla Monarch. Is there anything else I really want to... Sorry, I just bumped my desk. I don't know if there's anything else I really want to watch like that. We'll see. I guess I'll be talking about it next week if it comes up. But on to like Pondering My Orb to get us ready for this week, or, you know, get our minds right. Me reflecting on my journey hopefully makes you reflect on yours. And my thing is for this week is just focus and getting stuff done. I think that was kind of these Pondering My Orb segments. They're gonna be repeats because with life, I don't know. You just really gotta put it in practice and sometimes you stumble with that, and so you don't get lessons after 1 week. Like, you're gonna need to work at them and really try to integrate them into your life. And so, you know, it might be a little repeat here and there, but honestly, there's no fault in, like, there's no fault in hearing it more than once. Sometimes you got to hear it more than once to really make it click. So my thing this week, though, is focus, and just focusing on getting this shit done, focusing on editing this and getting this out in a timely manner, focusing on, you know, jobs and relationships in my life, focusing on, you know, my YouTube touch side of things and keeping up with that, and just focus on progressing and staying on track. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at DS2Smooth, DS2Smooth, DS numerical 2, SMOOVE. The links will be down below, and on the YouTube side of things for my YouTube accounts on those same platforms, it's DS2Smooth, so same thing, YT, DS2Smooth YT. And check out my main YouTube channel, DS2Smooth, for my YouTube videos, and check out my second YouTube channel, DS2Smooth Extended, for my longer gameplay videos. And I think that's pretty much it. Is that it? I think that's the show, guys. I think that is the show. I'll catch you guys next week. This was 4 hours and 6 minutes, so damn.